What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Before I get started, I do want to apologize for how late this is right now. I had some stuff come up beforehand that we need to take care of. We also had to take another quick look at Debby before we got the stream started. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start the live broadcast. And we do have the 11 p.m. advisory coming out very shortly, and we will be giving you a quick update on that. But before we do, I would like to introduce some members who will be helping us out. We will go ahead and start with Weather Kingdom. He is back once again. Weather Kingdom, say hello to the audience.
Hello, everybody.
All right, we also have Palm Tree, and that's going to help us out. Say hello whenever your mic is not muted. Okay, there we go.
Hello.
All right, and we have Ian as well. Ian's go ahead and say hello. Okay.
Hello.
All right, there we go. All right, we also have Galaxy Bender in the VC. He's mainly going to be doing some behind the scenes, but if you do hear him chime in, his mic is kind of pretty quiet, so it may be hard to hear him at times. But if he does chime in, we will let you know. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into the meat of this stream right here. We are looking at what is soon to be Hurricane Debby. We have been paying attention to it all day. We've been paying attention to it all last night. We had a pretty big stream last night talking about that. So yeah, things are getting pretty interesting as this thing approaches its final hours towards landfall. We're going to go ahead and start with the public advisory as of right now. It is now a 70-mile-per-hour tropical storm. Its current movement is north at 12 miles per hour. It's been gradually slowing down as it's been approaching the Big Bend region of Florida. And the pressure is 992 millibars, although we've seen extrapolated pressure of that has been lower than that. But there's two things I want to go ahead and talk about first before we get into the main analysis of this right here. We have the forecast discussion right here that we need to go ahead and go over because there's some pretty strong wording that we need to go ahead and discuss very quickly. So here's the situation. Debby will continue to move over waters of high heat content and remain in an environment of low vertical wind shear into Monday morning. Some dry air intrusion over the southwestern portion of the circulation may have temporarily interrupted the intensification process. However, given the favorable oceanic and shear conditions, significant strengthening is expected before landfall. Rapid intensification is especially likely if Debby acquires a well-defined inner core. The official intensity forecast is the high end of model guidance. Although weakening will occur after landfall, the longer-term strength of the system is largely dependent on how long the system remains over land. Currently, the official forecast shows some re-intensification with Debby moving into the Atlantic, but how much strength the system will re-strengthen is highly uncertain. So I wanted to go ahead and highlight that right there, and if we can go ahead and show you the radar, it looks like it is very close to developing its inner core, as we've been seeing some convection starting to die off in the outer bands, and we've been seeing two hot towers that's been firing off near the center of circulation. Galaxy Bender was talking about that earlier in behind the scenes in Tropical WX discussion, and we've been continuing to monitor it here. But regardless, this looks like it's finally forming an actual eye wall, and this definitely has your classic hurricane structure to it finally. There has been some dry air intruding to it, however, it is being very quickly mixed out, and that is always a very bad sign when it comes to a landfalling hurricane. So I wanted to go ahead and bring that up first. The second thing I wanted to go ahead and bring up is the flood threat, because this is going to be by far the biggest threat. There is a high risk of flash flooding from near Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, all the way from the Big Bend all the way up there at landfall. This is a very bad situation, ladies and gentlemen. Turn around, don't drown. If you are under a high risk, find higher elevation in case you need to get up to that, because flash flooding is going to be a massive risk, because we are seeing a ton of rain expected to drop in the next few days. 16 to 20 inches of rain is expected for Charleston and Savannah. We were seeing an area of 20 to 30 inches of rain last night. It has come down a little bit, but it's still going to be a crap ton of rain. We have 12 to 16 inches of rain from the Big Bend all the way to the South Carolina, North Carolina border, and that is continuing to persist. We are expecting 8 to 12 inches of rain from near the Outer Banks of North Carolina all the way to Tampa Bay, and we are expecting much more rainfall across a lot of these areas right here, and we need to talk about that because that by far is the biggest risk. Let's go ahead and show you the peak surge. Forecast to be 6 to 10 feet of storm surge. They're going to have a new map out in the next 20 minutes or so we're going to go ahead, going to have to keep close tabs on it. However, this is one of those classic systems where it is finally strengthening at the perfect time. This system still has about 12-ish hours before landfall at the current rate. Matter of fact, it's moving at 12 miles per hour, and if it is moving north, I know it is taking a slight jog to the east right now, but according to the NHC, it is moving north, so we can go ahead and extrapolate based on that general direction. So if it is moving north, where it's at right now, it's about 108 miles away from land, and probably even less so if it moves a bit more to the northeast over here, and we can go ahead and show you that. The center of circulation is about 85 miles if it moves a bit more to the northeast. It's going to be somewhere between the range of 90 to 100 or so, but we're going to have to pay attention to it. Right now, it is moving at 12 miles per hour. That gives it 7 hours before landfall. However, it is still forecasted to continue to slow down to about 10 miles per hour, which will add an extra couple of hours before landfall and a couple of extra hours before it to intensify. So we need to pay very close attention to that. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and turn it to our guests right here. I want to go ahead and start with Weather Kingdom for his overall thoughts on this and kind of his own analysis in regards to this.
Hello, you guys. My current analysis to this is we've been noticing throughout today, Debby hasn't really intensified as could have been as the worst case scenario. Thanks to some of that dry air that we did talk about in yesterday's stream, it looks like in the last 30 or so minutes, it has quickly taken out whatever dry air was left. And like Pat said, this has about 12 hours. We're going to really have to see and wait in the next coming hours of how this does. But I did notice some strengthening throughout the evening. And if that eye wall can fully close and convection can continue to wrap around it, we could see a rapid intensification about a few hours before landfall. What I've seen after it makes landfall there in the 0Zs does say this does get off the Carolinas coast again. So I wouldn't be surprised in the 11 o'clock update, the cone shifts a bit more off the coast. I've noticed that the icon still has it in North Carolina. Not going to happen, but it's just I'm just keeping an eye on it, and I honestly don't understand why it's doing that.
It's just a model. It's one model. I've been taking it with a grain of salt, but I'm glad you bring up the East Coast area because this is pretty interesting. Because the Jacksonville area and the entire coast of Georgia is now under a tropical storm warning, so I wanted to make that very clear. And the cone, when it comes out, is going to it's going to be interesting to see how this goes because this track has been where it's been tracking has been further to the east than the official NHC cone, and it's been pretty consistently doing that for the last few hours. Another thing I'm paying attention to is that wind field around Debby right there is finally starting to wrap around, and if it fully wraps around in the next couple of hours, it's definitely going to have some good robust strengthening in association with it. But Weather Kingdom, go ahead and continue.
So where I was off with the East Coast, regardless if this develops into rapid intensification or it stays as tropical storm Debby, probably not. I think this is definitely a hurricane. The biggest things is storm surge and flooding. That has been the main focus throughout today, and we have noticed they have upped the chances for flash flooding. So the main thing is the flooding. If you guys are in a zone-prone area of low ground, get into higher ground and get out because you do not want to be caught when it is happening in real time.
Yeah. All right.
I will say Recon is going back in, by the way.
Yes, they are
in
going
this
back in.
instance.
We've been watching it very closely. We can go ahead and do that. They found a pressure of 988 millibars in the system, which that's not generally very good, and that's something we.
Yeah.
What's up? What's up? Go
They
ahead.
just had a new pass on the 7th
Yeah.
of it. They have about 986.
Yeah, I see the extrapolated. I'm waiting for drops and data to confirm that.
I'm waiting on that.
Yeah.
Drops on data is.
And the southern side
What's-
is strengthening with winds.
Wait, I'm sorry. What's up, Galaxy?
Oh, sorry.
The drops on data is in. I sent it in
Oh.
VC no mic.
All right, perfect. Yeah, sorry if you guys can't hear Galaxy too well. I'm going to go ahead and show you the drops and data that he has sent me. I'm looking at it. I'm trying to find it. Where is it? Where is it at? I'm trying. Yeah, it's okay. All right, I'm trying to find it very quickly. Is it the stuff that looks like radar and satellite?
No, it's the latest one.
Okay.
The black
Oh yeah, I see the recon on it. Oh, they did find a 986 low on this, and it looks like it looks like the track wobbled a little, not the track, but the system wobbled. The center of it wobbled a little bit further to the west. That's interesting. That's gonna, if that's true, that's gonna hold it more over water. So, yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
If this continues to do wobbles, it's definitely going to. It could have a few more hours.
Absolutely. Well,
especially
yeah,
if it's slowing.
especially if it slows down too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm noticing the slow.
yeah. This is gonna be interesting how this plays out.
Ow.
NHC advisory comes out in the next 15 or so minutes. We have already over 250 people in the stream right now, which is absolutely incredible. Be sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. The goal is to get more people engaged with weather. We are 6 away from 9,500 subscribers. So if you could hit the subscribe button, that would be much appreciated. We're going to be here for a couple more hours after the update, so that way we can get extrapolate and watch this thing continue to intensify at the rate it is, because on satellite it looks absolutely beautiful now that it's kind of fixed its dry air issue on that. But Weather Kingdom, I know you've been helping me out quite a bit. Ian, what are your thoughts on Debby so far?
It's doing pretty well. Now, I just want to make sure, just let the chat know, because everyone's probably going to talk about the strength of this. Guys, major hurricane status is absolutely out of the question.
Yes, there's not enough time for that to happen.
Yeah, no.
Time.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Go ahead and continue. I just want to make it clear.
So stop hyping this up for being a major hurricane, y'all. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, if it wanted to do that, it should have done this 12 hours earlier, but clearly that's not the case.
Yeah, not the case. Maybe like a Cat 2 at landfall. Maybe.
If this thing continues to do what it's doing, maybe, but that's going to be a very large stretch. And it has so little ground to cover. Anyway, Justin just joined.
Yeah.
Justin, how are you doing?
Doing great. How about you guys?
I'm doing great. We have a lot of people in the stream right now. So, what are your thoughts on Debby?
Well, I was just watching Weather Center Nazario's live stream from an hour ago about it.
Sure.
It moved east of the cone a little bit more, but then it seems like it's kind of wobbling back towards the west. And if it does make a landfall quite a bit further east compared to what the cone was originally showing, that may have implications for the southeast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it would probably intensify more off the east coast, which would not be good.
Yeah, that if it were to jerk that far to the east and kind of make landfall near Cedar Key, it would end up exiting off around the Jacksonville area instead of the Savannah area, which would be really bad, and it would allow the Gulf Stream to take full advantage of that, which clearly is not the case at this current point because it's starting to wobble a bit further to the west for the first time in a while. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do a refresh on the Recon as we're continuing to get more data and information. Looks like there hasn't been a new update just yet. There will be one in the next couple of minutes. We are waiting for Mission 6 to get into the core of the system and kind of give us a general idea of what this strength is going to be. So, yeah, it looks like the flight level winds right now. Here's the flight level winds. They found almost 90 knot flight level winds right here, and SFMR data is a bit wonky, so it's kind of difficult to indicate that. But this recon, according to what my guys are saying behind the scenes, does support 80 miles per hour at this current point in time. This thing most likely is a hurricane right now. We're just waiting for the NHC to confirm it. So that's what we're mainly waiting here for. It's going to be updating in the next 5 to 10 minutes, so be sure you stay tuned for that. Weather Kingdom or Weather Kingdom, or really anyone else in the VC, what are your overall thoughts on the recon?
That's
What's up?
It was shocking.
Oh, I think that 91 knot FL came from a supercell.
Came from a supercell? Wait, no.
I was gonna.
No,
I was
that-
about to
yeah.
say that it came
Now-
from like a
yeah,
hot tower.
yeah, it did.
Oh, a
Yeah,
hot
it did.
tower. Okay.
Or a wind gust.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I was just relaying what Recon found, so that's gonna be interesting, and it'll be interesting to see how the NHC goes. So Yeah.
This might.
go ahead.
They might just keep it a tropical storm, but who knows?
I'm thinking they're gonna go 75 if they're gonna keep it conservative at this current point.
Yeah, 75 or
75.
80.
Yeah.
75 does seem like the most realistic intensity.
Yeah, I'm with you. Galaxy 75 is definitely the most realistic. So
Yeah, I'm going 75, 80. I wouldn't be surprised by either.
yeah, the Recon generally supports both, but we'll have to see what the NHC does. They honestly, too, might be waiting for more information, as we do have 2 Hurricane Hunter aircraft missions going on at the same time, thankfully. So we can go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, all right. Looks like Mission 6 is starting to get closer to the core, so we will know what's going on in the next 10 to 20 minutes. So that's some good news on that.
Do you want
Okay, yeah.
to talk about the other tagged area of interest?
We will talk about that later tonight. This is the main focus for now.
Okay, yeah. This is a hurricane because I just seen something just now that the eye wall is almost closed.
Yeah, we've been watching it for a while. It definitely is, and I can go ahead and show our audience the radar once again. All right, let me go ahead and show you guys that. Yeah, that eye wall is definitely closing out pretty quickly, and it's mixing out that dry air that we've been paying attention to.
One thing I'm noticing, look at that flare up in thunderstorms to the east of
Where
the
at?
eye wall.
Oh yeah, is it just east of it or a little bit further with a band?
No, that's the band that's wrapping around the eye wall.
Oh, I see. Oh yeah, I see it.
Dark orange.
Yep, I see it.
Still kind of wobbling to the east right now, according to that.
Yeah, according to radar, it is satellites showing and the Recon showing something completely different. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I have noticed that.
Yeah, that's
was gonna
interesting
say-
as well. What's up?
Oh yeah, Palm Tree sent a tweet by Dr. Levi Cowan,
Oh, sure.
which is saying that the storm is elongated, and so it will still have to consolidate
Yeah, that's fine.
before it can intensify significantly.
That's fine. I have the tweet pulled up from Dr. Cowan right now. Thank you, Galaxy Bender. Guys, I know it's a little hard for you to hear him, so I do apologize for that. But I want to go ahead and read this tweet right here. Recon data from the Hurricane Hunter surveying Debby shows winds approaching hurricane force on the eastern side of the circulation. The core is not particularly compact yet. In fact, the center may have became more elliptical and elongated towards the northeast of recent hours. This was posted about 20 minutes ago or so, which is pretty interesting. So we'll have to pay attention to that. So yeah, that's gonna. But yeah, regardless of intensity, I would argue that the intensity, I'd say, at landfall won't necessarily matter as much, because this is the main threat. We've always said this is the flash flood threat. We've been screaming about it for the last couple of days. There is a high risk of flash flooding across much of the Big Bend, Georgia, and South Carolina, predominantly for the Charleston and Savannah areas. So if you are tuning in from those areas, you need to pay very close attention to what's going on, and you need to watch the weather forecasts, and you need to watch this system very closely, because if this system's ends up stalling just off the coast of you, not only are you going to get a ton of rain, but this system has the possibility to re-intensify. And considering the eastward jog it has compared to the NHC, it's becoming increasingly likely that that will be the case. The rate of intensification and the intensification itself is unknown. We have almost 500 people in the stream right now, which is absolutely bonkers. So be sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We didn't get to this level for about 2.5 to 3 hours last night, and we're already getting there to at about like 20 minutes after we're streaming. So that's absolutely incredible. So like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new. We hit 9,500 subscribers, so thank you very much for that. Let's see if we can get up to 9,600 by the end of the night. That would be much appreciated. So, yeah, a lot's been going on. We're still waiting for the NHC's latest public advisory. His current one is it was issued at 8 p.m. Expected to come out in the next 5 minutes. But, yeah, Recon's been working in overdrive as well as we continue to monitor this. But, guys in the VC, what do you guys want to go ahead and touch up on in regards to Debby that we haven't exactly covered yet?
I think, like, the track, like, of it once it gets off the coast of Florida and Georgia, minus the GFS, everyone seems to be in a general agreement that it's gonna like do a left hook back towards like South Carolina and possibly North Carolina.
Yeah,
which means I feel like those two are definitely under the gun for a big threat in addition to Georgia.
I'm definitely seeing it. I am absolutely seeing it as well. But yeah, I'm definitely paying attention. The question is how far out does this go into the water? Because the further out it goes, the more it can tap into the Gulf Stream, and the more it can possibly re-intensify. And that's the last thing we want to see, especially with this thing stalling near Georgia and South Carolina, as the steering currents continue to collapse. So that's definitely something we're paying attention to, and the latest cone will give us an idea of what we're looking for, as well as their discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, is there anything else you guys want me to go ahead and cover?
This is slightly unrelated, but the Eastern Pacific just had Tropical Depression 5 strengthen into Tropical Storm Amelia.
Okay, so that's
Wow.
Okay, that's telling me that they're issuing advisories right now, and I have a feeling that Debby will be next at this current point, because they always do Eastern Pacific first, and then the Atlantic right afterward. So that's kind of telling. What's up?
Good evening.
Hey Tristan, what's up?
I need to communicate this to the viewers because if y'all looked at the YouTube chat so far, I have been communicating some special messages for Debby, and I need to say, if you are under a flash flood watch from the Big Bend area all the way to the Carolina, pay special attention to the flood watch with this system. This has the potential of life-threatening flooding. Turn around, don't drown. If you're in a vehicle and you see a flooded roadway, this is not the storm to do it. This is not the storm to take the risk.
Absolutely not.
Turn around. And I suggest no one drive. I hope no one has to drive in these heavy
I mean, I know emergency vehicles are going to have to,
they're
but
going to have to, yes.
Yeah.
And also, I do want to communicate something about the tornado risk, because someone's going to ask. So I'm going to quickly say it. On the one hand, the holograph and the storm relative velocity in the atmosphere, it's over 600 on the values. But because the storm has more of a linear type structure so far, and you're not having much
Debby is a hurricane.
Yep.
Yes, it did. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're seeing this right now. Debby is officially a hurricane. They went with 75 miles per hour. Its pressure is 985 millibars, so the pressure continues to plummet as this thing approaches the Big Bend coast. And
real quick, if you are in the southeast, analog for this is, besides the flooding, because the flooding will be different
Mm-hmm.
because of the steering currents. One of the analogs that we've been saying and have gotten correct, which I'm proud of, is Hermine. This has exactly acted like a version of Hermine. The landfall spot, the way it struggled at first, the western side being a little weak. So
Yep.
we did a great job at least getting the analog right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Besides the flooding. But
Yeah, of course.
That's a Hermine too. You know why? The only difference is the steering currents failed near New York. The steering currents are going to fail in the western Atlantic, and that's why we call this the worst version of Hermine.
Yes, and definitely.
So,
but yeah, that's for sure. In the meantime, though, I do want to bring up the discussion real quickly, and I want to read this out because I think this is very important, and I think this makes a lot of things very clear. The NWS Doppler radar imagery, both from the Tampa and Tallahassee radars, along with reports from both NOAA and Air Force Hurricane Hunter aircraft, indicate that Debby's structure has continued to improve this evening, with a ragged eye becoming apparent. Both the NOAA and Air Force reconnaissance aircraft have found strong flight-level winds in the convective bands located well to the east-northeast of the center, with the Air Force plane measuring 700 millibar flight-level winds in the 75 to 77 knot range. Recent drops in data has shown that the pressure has fallen to around 985 millibars. Based on this data, Debby is being upgraded to a 65 knot hurricane or 75 miles per hour hurricane at this time. Although the inner core is still somewhat ragged, the storm structure has improved and additional strengthening appears likely overnight and early Monday, while Debby moves over waters of high heat content in the eastern Gulf of Mexico within a favorable upper-level environment. The NHC intensity forecast is again at the high end of this intensity guidance. Weakening is expected while Debby moves inland over the southeastern United States. Some re-strengthening is forecast when Debby moves over the western Atlantic, but there is still higher than normal uncertainty in this portion of the forecast. There has been no change to the track forecast philosophy. Debby should continue to generally move northward overnight and early Monday through a weakness in the subtropical ridge caused by a mid-level trough in the eastern United States. This motion is expected to bring the center onshore along the coast of the northeastern Gulf Monday. After that time, the trough is forecast to move eastward, causing the steering currents to weaken over the southeastern United States. This will result in a significant slowdown in Debby's forward motion, and the model spread significantly increases in the 72 to 120 hour time period. Regardless of Debby's exact forecast track during that time, the slow forward speed is likely to cause potentially historic rainfall across southeast Georgia and South Carolina, with an increasing likelihood of catastrophic flooding. Wow, ladies and gentlemen. That's the NHC. That's from the NHC, folks. And based on
here's another thing that they didn't mention, which I wish they did.
What?
The flooding will be even worse because the rivers cannot let the rain escape from their banks, because if it's stalling off the coast, you're going to have onshore flow, and that's going to back up the river.
For sure.
I sense something in DC.
Flooding, but it could be river flooding.
Thank you. All right. In the meantime, though, I'm looking at the cone. Yeah. In the meantime, I'm looking at the cone. Oh, it looks like it looks like they did shift that a little bit, and they also shifted it looks like they shifted a little bit further offshore than previously, and there are now tropical storm warnings in effect for parts of South Carolina. Hurricane warnings easily remain in effect. They've discontinued the tropical storm warnings in southwest Florida. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and show you the surge forecast, because that's what I'm paying attention to as well. It looks like they have expanded the 6 to 10 feet storm surge from Yankeetown to near the to the Ochlo Coney River. I'm sorry if I butchered that. I do apologize for that. And they now have 2 to 4 feet of storm surge in Georgia and South Carolina. So ultimately, a pretty big situation.
Flow that will not let the rivers drain their water.
Yep, that's going to cause even worse flooding right there. In fact,
can I just say something?
Hold on. Let's let Weather Kingdom go ahead and speak his piece, and then we'll let Tristan talk.
You should look at radar, because that eye has it is symmetrical right now on the latest frame. I
saw what you sent me. I'm looking on radar scope right now. I'll go ahead and show that. Yeah, it looks like the eye is starting to wrap around a bit, and I know what
Even
you're
further.
looking. I know what the radar you're looking at. Yeah, it looks like it's starting to get there. And
That
the thing is,
eyewall, though, I wonder how strong the winds are in that.
I probably not too strong just yet because just yet, but we'll have to pay attention and wait for Hurricane Hunter aircraft to get that.
Can I read the key messages?
Galaxy. Galaxy.
I don't know if they'll be able to hear my
Yeah, they're probably not.
so you can read it.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read it. That's fine if you want me to. Because the reason I'm reading it is because it's going to be hard to hear Galaxy, so I'm going to go ahead and do it so that way we can communicate this. Potential historic heavy rainfall across southeast Georgia and South Carolina through Friday morning will likely result in areas of catastrophic flooding. Heavy rainfall will likely result in considerable flooding impacts for portions of central and northern Florida through the coastal plain of the Carolinas through Friday. There is a danger of life-threatening storm surge along portions of the Gulf Coast of Florida, with 6 to 10 feet of surge above ground level expected somewhere between the Ohlone River. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it, guys. Through Yankeetown late tonight and Monday morning. Residents in the storm surge warnings should follow any advice given to local officials. Hurricane conditions are expected Monday across portions of the Florida Big Bend regions where a hurricane warning is in effect, with tropical storm conditions beginning this evening. Tropical storm conditions are expected through Monday farther south within the tropical storm warning area along Florida's west coast, including the Tampa Bay area. Dangerous storm surge and wind impacts are expected along portions of the southeastern United States coast from northeastern Florida to North Carolina through the middle of the week, and storm surge warnings and tropical storm watches and warnings have been issued for those portions of those areas. So that's what we're paying attention to. The NHC has decreased the peak intensity to 85 miles per hour. It was at 90 earlier. Now it's down to 85 as it's about to make landfall. But regardless, this is a hurricane, and we're going to have to pay close attention to it. And the flood risk is absolutely the greatest risk. That's if there's anything you take from that the most, it's the flood risk. Hurricane force winds also extend outward 45 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds still extend outward 140 miles from the center. So that's going to be pretty interesting to watch. Tristan, go ahead.
Real quick for our viewers here, I know they're going to likely ask for this too, and I think it's important to tell them that they are under a tornado watch until 6 a.m. Tornado watch number 595, issued by Norman, Oklahoma, was issued at 7:55 p.m. Eastern earlier. The tornado watch is for central and northern Florida and southern Georgia in the coastal waters. Again, this is in effect until 6 a.m. A few tornadoes are possible with isolated damaging wind gusts from thunderstorms, not from the hurricane. There are two types of wind modes here. 265 mile per hour possible. The summary: convective bands associated with Debby will continue to pose a risk for embedded supercells and a tornado risk. It will likely increase once the friction and landfall.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm expecting another tornado watch immediately after 6 a.m.
Yeah, definitely.
The environment favorable for tornadoes will gradually shift northward this evening into the overnight hours in conjunction with the northern movement of Debby.
Yeah, I'm paying attention to that as well. In the meantime, though, we have almost 600 people in the stream right now. Absolutely insane. Be sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It would really help get more people engaged with weather, and it would be much appreciated over here. Thank you very much for all the support you have given tonight. But in the meantime...
New update from Tallahassee.
What's up?
Tallahassee.
Go ahead.
They're now continuing the flood watch until August 6th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time.
Oh, wow.
So something is wrong, clearly, by that wording, because it's Tallahassee. They're in the western parts, so there's so much uncertainty that I think they're just gonna say, "No, don't risk it. Just keep the watch at this point."
What's up?
And Tallahassee, you're in a weird position. I know people are talking about it. On the one hand, the track says, "Oh, you will get tropical storm force wind." On the other hand, when you look at radar, it's moving directly east.
Yeah, I'm noticing that.
I don't know if that's a jog or is that
just
this storm
where
is
it's going.
confusing.
That's
It's been
concerning.
confusing.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now, and that's concerning.
But
Not
the eye wall, wow.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too. That's concerning, not just because that this thing is moving east and it's going to make landfall faster, but this is concerning because this is going to push the point of where this thing emerges in the southwestern Atlantic Ocean. It's going to be pushed further to the south and give this thing more time to be over the water over there and potentially re-strengthen even more than what the NHC is forecasting. Because right now they are anticipating this thing to at this current point. Let me go ahead and pull up the discussion just for my own looking.
Dud asked, do you think this will rapidly intensify? The ocean heat content values are high with Debby is all the way until landfall. The problem is not the ocean heat content or the water.
Yep.
The problem is that this system has been trying to fight dry air so much that it has ended up becoming so broad that it's going to take a long time to tighten up again, even with good conditions, and the eye wall is not fully closed. So to answer your question, no. This is going to be one of those few who don't rapidly intensify. Do not pay attention to the strength. This is one of those systems where you should not be paying attention to if it has 85-mile-per-hour winds. You should be paying attention to if you're driving in floodwaters, to how much floodwaters outside your house, etc., etc.
Absolutely, and we've communicated that since the very beginning.
And pay attention to tornado warning.
Of course. All right, but yeah, Tristan, I wanted to get your take on this because if this thing, I really hope this is a jog to the east and not a shift to the east, because if that's the case, that's going to put this thing further into the waters of in the southwestern Atlantic Ocean. What's your thoughts on this? Would that be a worst-case scenario, worse situation, or would it be a little bit better in terms of flooding, but not so much for wind?
Again, Pat, you know the phrase I always say with systems that are confusing like this. It's a pick your poison.
Yep.
Do you want more flooding, or do you want a stronger system later?
Yeah.
There's no good answer. So that's just it. That's all that needs to be said. Because pick your poison storm is one of those storms where no matter what, you got to deal with something.
Yeah.
I would rather have it move east because water does more damage, but then again, it might strengthen a lot more depending on the environment. So again, this is pick your poison.
It's kind of it's kind of one of those trolley scenarios right there.
Yes. Like which trolley do you go, or which path of destruction would you rather have? Fire or ice? Kind of like that. You know what I mean?
Pretty much.
It is weird that it's moving so east.
I will say that the wind threat is not nearly as.
First of all,
hold on, let Galaxy talk.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Because first of all, Florida has very strong buildings, at least the ones that are built to code, that are built to sustain at least 100-mile-per-hour winds. So that shouldn't be like the primary threat. The primary threat is significant flash flooding, which you can't really have a building up to code even with buildings that are very resistant to wind. They can still be flooded, and that can still be life-threatening.
All right.
No matter the strength of the storm.
Just one second. And everyone in the chat, can you guys hear Galaxy? One in the chat if you can hear him. Two if you can't. Three if it's pretty low. Okay, he's okay. All right, he's all right. It looks like some
people can't
some can hear him, but the mic's pretty low. So I just want to give you a heads up on that. So Galaxy, if you want to make a few adjustments to your mic to hopefully increase the pickup rate on that, I would recommend you do that.
I do agree with Galaxy's point, and this will help the viewers hear a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Florida's not the problem. They've been through so many hurricanes before. As long as you're not in the Big Bend and you're being stupid against the storm surge and the flooding, then Florida's kind of in an iffy situation with that too, respectfully, considering Debby. But otherwise, Florida is used to this. Who is not used to this? South Carolina and Georgia. And that's the area where I am very concerned about what will happen.
Yeah.
We got 2 high-risk days straight, and then we got another 2 moderate risk right after that. all pointed at South Carolina. They're the bullseye.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
Or
noticing
South
that
Carolina.
too. Yeah. Hey, Galaxy, if you want to go ahead and finish your points, go right ahead. Sorry we had to interrupt because I know some people in the audience are having a hard time hearing you. So I wanted to make sure the audio worked. So if you want to finish your point, go ahead.
Okay, so I was gonna say.
Oh, that's a lot
that-
better.
Okay, so I was gonna say that, okay, I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, the flooding threat is the most major thing, and the wind threat is definitely not going to. It's not going to be as significant because it's running out of time to intensify. But the most concerning thing is the flash flooding threat, which is definitely what people should be paying attention to.
Absolutely. 1,000%. And we've been saying this for the last 4 days since we started streaming daily. This is a very big flood threat. Yeah, we were having some debate on the winds, and sometimes things went a little haywire, but regardless of that, the flash flooding is going to be the biggest threat. This is, at least in terms of flooding, a worst-case scenario. This is only a Category 1 hurricane. I shouldn't say only a Category 1, because Cat 1s can do a pretty significant amount of damage in themselves. Yeah. But yeah, even though this is a Cat 1, this is still going to cause a ton of damage and cause a lot of problems down the road. So if you're in the Savannah area and you're in the Charleston area, you need to be taking this extremely seriously. You are under a high risk of flash flooding. Tristan has been screaming about it for the last 24 hours. Well, not literally, figuratively, but he's been kind of trying to communicate that to you guys because of how serious this is. So
Flooding does more damage than wind.
Yep.
The power of water is incredible, and people always underestimate.
Absolutely.
It is.
1,000%.
Your car can be swept off of its wheels by just a foot of water across the road. So, again, turn around, don't drown.
Of course. We have almost 600 people in chat right now. It's going to be an absolutely incredible stream tonight. So be sure to like the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you for tuning in and taking the time to kind of give us the opportunity to show you what the weather is going to be. So if you could do those two things, that'd be much appreciated. But in the meantime,
2
we are
miles east of Largo in Pinellas County, Florida. Emergency management. We're already starting to get the flash flooding reports.
okay.
Flash flooding report. High water rescues are going on through the county for this fire and law enforcement, including the Mariners Cove, MHP, and Largo, Chivwood Forest RV Park, and Palm Harbor. Wendy Lane's apartments in Largo. City of Gulfport has significant street flooding throughout the area.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's Tampa. That's not where the bullseye is.
That's where Pinellas County. That's where just north of St. Petersburg. Between 5
fair,
and
they
8
did
inches
have
of rain
9
have
to 10.
fallen. Additional rain amounts of 1 to 3 inches are possible for the warned area. That is insane. And and that should tell you why lopsided systems are still very dangerous, because several inches of rain have already fallen in Tampa Bay. And this isn't even in South Carolina or Georgia. This is a massive rainmaker. So that's why you need to take this very seriously.
Ooh. Yeah.
What's up?
Receivable water values, by the way, are around 2.8 within the center. Where the areas of Tampa Bay are between 2.6 and 2.7. So 2.6.
Could you explain how much
2.65
2.6 is in that metric? Tristan? Oh, of course. It happened
what?
again. Sorry, I
You
disconnect.
have to relocate.
This keeps happening. Tristan, could you please explain what 2.8, 2.6 on the precipitable water index means?
That's basically some of the highest amount of moisture you can get.
Yeah.
It's some of the highest. The highest is 2.8, but that's off the code.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, hey, Justin, what are your thoughts on all this so far? This is going to be a pretty insane situation, regardless.
This is really bad. Like, people often look at the category and immediately judge it, but that's not a wise thing to do, because we seen with hurricanes like Florence. That was a Category 1, I think, when it hit North Carolina,
Yes.
and that dumped like 30 to 50 inches of rain. Like, Category has nothing to do with the true scale of the impact, especially when it's starting to stall out. Like, I don't think this is going to be as bad as Florence in terms of flooding, but like that doesn't even matter. I mean, this is still something absolutely worth paying attention to. Like, just like Tristan said, just don't ever go out into a flooded roadway. It's not worth it.
Absolutely not. It's most certainly not worth it at all. Okay.
By the way, they upgraded they continued the flash flood warning to a considerable observe now with the report in Tampa Bay. Also, I just want to let our viewers know this is not just going to be where the bullseye is. If you are from the Big Bend all the way to Washington, D.C., because they're right next to the slight on the day 5, you could potentially be under flooding. Now, of course, when you get more far out, it gets a little more complicated with the models, steering currents. But basically, from Washington, D.C., all the way to the Big Bend, you got to watch this system in terms of flash flooding.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, Weather Kingdom, you haven't talked in a little bit. What are your overall thoughts on this now that we have this new information?
My main thoughts are the flooding is the main huge thing, and I will say the jog to the east. We're really gonna have to watch that because it doesn't. I know it doesn't matter where it makes landfall, but the more south that it makes landfall, the quicker it's going to get out in the Atlantic. And we're really going to have to watch for re-strengthening if that does happen. I do think it's a jog, but I think it's actually a pretty big jog that's going to change the track even the next run, maybe even further into the Atlantic. But that's the main thing. I've just been focused on looking at radar, the wobble, and that severe eye wall. It's not severe, but on radar it looks pretty aggressive.
It looks pretty scary right now, especially on the eastern quadrant of that. Go ahead and continue.
East. So basically, I do think it's a jog, but it will change the track in the long run.
Yes.
But I do not know if we were expecting this much rain near Tampa and the eastern coast of Florida, but I've seen reports up to like a foot of rain.
That's
possible.
Insane.
So seeing that worries me down the road with Georgia and South Carolina. Yeah. And if this does stall off the coast with a day or two of just rain bands hitting along the coast and then makes landfall slowly, even stronger. I mean, you're going to have that flooding pre-existed. And then when the wind comes, if it does go out far enough and re-strengthens into a stronger storm, you're going to now have all that flooding, and the roots of those trees are going to be so saturated that the little bit of wind will uproot many of them. You know.
When you have saturated soils, trees cannot sustain their roots. You'll have more wind damage, with
especially pine
less
trees.
amount of wind.
Especially pine trees.
Absolutely. Thank you.
One more thing, I do want to quickly bring this up. I don't think no one has talked about this. Debby did try to do a very brief stall.
I did talk about it.
Diet Center, but did we?
Yeah, we noticed that earlier a little bit.
Yep.
But now it's just heading for Cedars Key, it looks, on radar.
Again, it's just it's a Hermine. It's a Hermine. Look, Cedar Key.
Yeah. Dahlia also hit there pretty close to that last year, so that's pretty interesting to think about. But yeah, just overall a wild situation to pay attention to. Hey, Galaxy, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yes, there's a new not a new drop zone, but there was a drop zone earlier, 986 millibars with 20 knots of wind at the surface, which translates to 984 millibars.
Yeah.
So it's still deepening.
Thank you very much. I'm taking a look at that.
They found hurricane force winds on the southern side.
They did.
now.
Oh, they found flight
Yep.
level. That's interesting. Yeah, they found flight level winds close to they're over 70 knots on that southern side. So definitely something to keep close tabs on. So yeah, still a very evolving situation. I'm sorry that this satellite imagery is not up to par. I think there might be a little
There's
bit.
a lot
This
of
whole
glitches.
storm's life, the satellite has been really kind
Yeah.
of iffy.
Yeah, okay, I can get some new imagery off the Joint Typhoon Warning Center. Oh, wow, there's a burst going on the southeast side.
Oh, I did not see.
Yeah,
Yep, that's why. Yep, that's why the convection on radar, it looks scary.
yep, that explains it.
And I really want them to go in that southern side eye wall because
Yeah, that
I
southeast
wonder.
eyewall, I need to see that. Yeah, that's not good at all.
Oh wow,
That's
that's a
a
seizure warning.
I already have that.
It's really wrapping around.
That's a hot
Yeah, it's-
tower right
Uh-oh.
there.
I think that's an eye forming on satellite. Is it?
What's up, Galaxy?
Yes, that's an eye forming. I was talking about the two dueling hot towers
That's an
before,
eye.
where they both rotate around the storm. Laura 2020 did the same thing.
Oh,
It
wow.
won't be as strong because it doesn't have enough time, but this is the exact same scenario. It looked similar to Laura before. This is the exact same thing. It lost the rain band, and now it has two hot towers rotating around.
We also do have to consider something with slow movement.
Mm-hmm.
Brown ocean effect. That gives the storm an extra hour. Because Florida
Yeah,
is not just that storms have done a decent amount of brown ocean effect. Michael's a perfect example. I got to a category 5, even a little bit inland, because I had brown ocean.
yeah,
And
we're
there's
definitely.
a decent amount of storms with that history. So, you could say 85 miles an hour, but if this storm is able to get its act now, maybe a 90 on the brown ocean. Maybe a 90 if it can get its act together now.
It looks like it's starting to right now, Tristan. Be sure to like the stream, guys, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's see if we can get to 9,600 subs by the end of this stream. That would be absolutely wonderful if that were the case. It will help get more people engaged with weather, and it'll help us continue that our forecasts and our broadcasts right here. Weather Kingdom, do you want to say something?
That looks like an eye might be trying to form on satellite.
Yeah,
And that southern, I'm really wondering that convection burst within the eye wall.
Weather Dud said it might be rapidly intensifying. No, it's not, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because the definition of rapid intensification is 30 miles per hour in 24 hours, and we're not gonna get that because Debbie has been fighting hard.
well, we might actually get to that. We might, Tristan, hold on before you continue. We might actually get to that because 24 hours ago we were at 45 miles per hour. This thing is at
Really?
75.
Oh.
Yeah, and at 1 a.m. at my time, 2 a.m. Eastern time, we were at we were at 45 miles per hour. So if this thing can get up to 80 by that point, it technically meets that criteria for rapid intensification. Just thought I'd give you. Yeah, but Tristan, go ahead and continue. I just thought I'd bring that up.
I was gonna at first I was gonna say I don't think it was 24 hours, but if it was 24 hours, I apologize.
No, you're good. Don't worry about it.
So
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it will technically rapid intensification is technically possible by definition, but this is not the normal rapid intensification. We normally don't really see pauses. Barrel is a perfect classic example of rapid intensification without problem.
No
It's
problem.
absolutely perfect. This storm didn't do that, and I'm very thankful
Yeah.
that the dry air stayed.
Yeah.
Remember, we talked about the last 3 days. We expected a major if the evolution promoted it. The evolution did not because of the little bit of dry air that was able to stay longer in the storm. Because even though the trough was producing more outflow for the storm, it was also producing more shear.
More shear.
So it ended up
Yeah.
messing it up a little bit.
Yep.
Yes. And that
I will
helps
say,
it not-
Go ahead,
Go ahead.
Tristan. Finish your. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I was done. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, go ahead.
I will say that new convection burst. I am starting to see some pinks.
Yeah, that's
in
minus
the
80
front of
cloud
it.
tops.
We are too.
Yep.
Yeah, we're seeing two hot
right
towers
there,
firing
if
up.
that can wrap around I mean, I'm talking about if this eye can wrap around quickly on satellite, we can see a pretty quick bump up in the next few hours.
Agreed.
And it's doing that right now. It's just flowing across the it's kind of.
I'm just
flowing.
confused about the radar.
The radar is
confused.
really interesting, and I do think there's still some dry air in there, but I think the core itself was able to come together and finally fight it. But I do think there's still some dry air trying to get from the southeastern side. As Pat's satellite can detect, there is a little bit of cloud. The clouds are somewhat dying in a small part of the southern side, and then you have a little bit of an opening between the two convection bursts. I do think there was still a little bit of dry air trying to fight into it, which is why it was also a little bit long.
Yeah, there still is a sort of visible dry slot on IR imagery.
Yeah, I'm noticing it.
The core has closed off. Also, somebody in chat asked, do you know what the lowest pressures found on the most recent flight was? So it was 985 and then 984, which is, for those of you who are just tuning in, that is the latest advisory, which was issued about 30 minutes ago. Debby is now a hurricane with 75 miles per hour winds. And
we got breaking news.
What's up?
New tornado warning in effect from Manatee County in Florida. A severe thunderstorm is capable of producing a tornado. Was located 8 miles of Lakewood Ranch, or 15 miles east of Sarasota, moving north at 50 miles an hour. From MBOT, National Weather Service chat. There you go.
All right.
Well, the MBOT is a free version of that. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, perfect.
But they have issued one.
Yeah, thank you very much for. Yeah, Galaxy.
My God, is that actually a robust, discrete supercell? Crazy, because this storm has been producing like the most anemic cells.
Oh boy. Okay. If you're okay.
What do you mean? What? I'm just saying.
I remember you from last night. If you have nothing to contribute, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
No, but that's the thing. I literally just contributed. I said the
no, you
cells
didn't.
before have been. What? No, I just what?
Okay.
I
sorry,
said the
guys.
cells before have been anemic, and now tornado genesis may be consummated.
Okay, just okay. Regardless, though, Galaxy, do you want to finish your point?
Yeah. So for everybody who's tuned in late, Debby is now a hurricane as of 11 p.m. The biggest threat remains flash flooding and 6 to 10 feet of storm surge to the right of the core in the Big Bend region of Florida, and potentially catastrophic flooding, as said by the NHC, which could be historic through South Carolina and southeast Georgia. So, again, the main threat is flooding through either storm surge or rainfall, and not the wind threat.
Can I say something quickly?
Go right ahead.
There is lightning in that new convection burst with the southwest eye wall.
Can you show that?
There is convection.
Can you send it in here?
Yeah, I'll send it in VC.
All right.
Ooh, that's wrapping up quickly.
Yeah, that indeed is.
It is.
Yeah.
Just give me a second.
This is like the first actual legit cell I've seen today, because all the other ones have been embedded or like really well taught.
Okay. All right.
I'll send it. Just give me 1 second.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. All right. In the meantime, though, we're still watching this. Yeah, this thing finally started to wake up at the kind of at a good time for this thing to do that if it wants to see some more intensification. We're already at a 75 mile per hour not tropical storm, hurricane. I'm losing my train of thought for a second, and we are looking at this possibly getting up to an 85 mile per hour mid-range category 1 before making landfall. So we're going to have to pay very close attention to that as we get more data and more information out. Regardless of what we're taking a look at right here, we are still looking at a very massive flash flooding threat as the system moves closer towards Georgia and South Carolina. As we're continuing to take a look at the cone looks like it did shift further out to sea, and the point of it moving out, moving away from land has shifted a little bit further to the south. That's bad news. We do not want to see that, because that gives it a better chance to intensify even further after it gets into the southwestern Atlantic.
I just sent it.
Okay. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. It's in VC, no mic. Let's go ahead and show that. Oh, yeah, I'm starting to see it. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, there's some lightning strikes starting to fire off near the core of the circulation over here. That's what the one thing you do not want to see in an intensifying hurricane. That is absolutely what you do not want to see. We're going to have to wait the next 30 minutes to see if that continues and that continues to expand. But if you ever see lightning near the core, that is bad news, because that is indicative of a quickly intensifying system, and we are only 5 miles per hour of an increase away for this thing to have rapidly intensified. So this thing is continuing to move closer and closer to the Big Bend. As we were saying earlier, this is going to pose a massive flash flooding threat. I know I keep saying it like a broken record. I know Tristan keeps saying it like a broken record, but we have to keep making that point very clearly. Here's the tropical storm force winds probabilities. We're looking at a 100% probability, pretty much from Tampa Bay all the way to the Florida Georgia border. Hurricane wind speed probabilities. We can go ahead and show you those. I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, these are a little outdated right here, but regardless, though, these were already advocating for a 50 to 60% probability of hurricane force winds, at least according to the National Hurricane Center probability right here. But regardless, though, things are continuing to get interesting, and things are continuing to blow up across a lot of these areas here. I'm actually going to go ahead and get a new satellite. Okay, that's a little bit of an issue. Yeah, we're seeing more minus 80 cloud tops. Yeah, we're seeing more minus 80 cloud tops, and those two towers are really ramping up and starting to link together on this top of satellite. So, yeah, those cold cloud tops are really starting to get their act together. So,
this is 100% RI. Like, look at the DBZ values in the eye wall. Like, they're so high. It's like borderline.
Yeah, we're looking at the DBZ. I'm on radar. All right, we got some questions in the chat right here. We're going to go ahead and answer some of those. Okay, and I would like to ask our team here to kind of direct their attention to the chat for the next few minutes so we can take a look at that. Is it stalling? Not quite yet. We'll have to pay attention to it. All right. Okay, I'm not going to even answer that.
I will like to say
PM, there is no rapid intensification. Technically, the criteria is about to be met. This was at 45 miles per hour at 1 a.m. If this thing gets up to 80, then this thing technically meets the criteria. How bad is Akala going to get getting hit? That's the first question we're going to go ahead and ask.
The icon. Someone asked a question about the icon.
Well, we're going to answer one thing at a time. Akala.
Real quick, I do apologize. I got to interrupt here.
Sure.
The tornado warning is not it's not a linear thing. It is a actual supercell thunderstorm.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
On the southeastern side.
Okay.
So we need to watch that, because you know how many times I've seen in other systems where supercells that are alone like that are able to produce because of the broad wind field of a tropical system. That tornado warning needs to be watched carefully. There is enough rotation.
Terminal. It keeps getting stronger on terminal.
Yep.
All right. In the meantime, though, we're going to go ahead and answer so the question about Akala. Yeah, you're going to definitely get some potential flash flooding over there. That's the main concern I have for this right now. Yeah, we're getting several questions about Jacksonville. Jacksonville needs to keep very close tabs on this. They are likely going to get flash flooding from this. I can actually go ahead and pull up.
Flash flooding and tornadoes.
Yes, flash flooding tornadoes. The northern Jacksonville metro is under that high risk for flash flooding. So that pays. You need to keep close tabs on that. I live in Myrtle Beach. What are your thoughts on the storm for here? Myrtle Beach needs to pay very close attention to this.
Pay attention, turn around, don't drown.
Yes. What about South Carolina? This thing is going to be moving off into the southwestern Atlantic and making landfall in South Carolina. The Charleston area is under, like the coastal South Carolina area up from Myrtle Beach down to the Georgia-South Carolina border is under a high risk of flash flooding. You need to take this very seriously. Turn around, don't drown.
Also, we got over 8 reports of wind gusts between 50 and 52 miles per hour from the National Weather Service. Data coming from multiple areas, including the International Airport, Fort Meade, West Brenton, Winston, Venice, Sarasota, Gulfport, and Donnan. They're confirming just a tropical storm.
Yeah.
Multiple reports confirmed.
All right, Pat, I've seen at least 1 or 2 spaghetti tracks from NHC pushing Debby back into the Gulf next week. Do you think that's a possibility? That ship sailed. That ship has sailed right there. Oh, did something go on? All right. Okay, never mind. Just the stream's fine. I was just checking right there.
How are the supercells with like 10K foot tops? I'm so.
All right. Yeah, love the stream. What about Hazelhurst, Georgia? Hazelhurst, that's in southern Georgia. I know where that is. I believe they're under the high risk for flash flooding. You turn around, don't drown. Take this very seriously. Yeah.
And just because nothing happens with this system doesn't mean the next one that does the same won't do anything. Don't get into that.
Oh, you guys.
What's up?
I think the eyes looks like it might be moving north again.
On radar?
Yeah, so that was likely a jog.
I'm gonna interrupt.
Yeah, I think so. Or it's relocating? Not
No,
relocating, but
no.
jogging back north.
I don't think.
Yeah, I can't. Never mind.
Okay. All right, Galaxy, what's up?
I'm gonna interrupt for a second and quickly run through a few questions. Is it over for Tampa Bay? There might be a few more rain bands, so there is still potential for tornadoes. So make sure if you have a safe place worked out for tornado warnings. What about Perry, Florida? Perry, Florida will likely get some of the strongest winds, as that is going to be right near where landfall is. And
yeah. Yeah.
International Airport in Tampa has reported a wind gust of 56 miles an hour. Another Mesoset station at Skyway Fishing Pier has reported a wind gust of 55 miles an hour east of St. Petersburg. There have also been a report of 53, and a new one from the cruise terminal 2, I think around the airport, 57 mile per hour wind gust.
The next location I saw in chat was Hazelhurst.
Yeah, I already
Georgia.
covered that.
All right.
But in the meantime, though, be sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps get more people engaged with weather, and we are trying to get up to 9,600 subscribers by the time we end the stream tonight. So that would be much appreciated if you could do that.
Jacksonville. Someone said, how is the east shift going to affect the track? And then he asked, will it shift and hit Jacksonville, Florida?
Go ahead and answer that.
Basically, yes, we notice a jog, but either way, if the core does not go over Jacksonville, you guys are still going to get a tons amount of rain, and you guys will still get some wind out of this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I see another question for Tallahassee.
Yeah, Tallahassee, they're going to be on the western side of it. Tallahassee's in the moderate risk for flooding. Turn around, don't drown. You're going to get some tropical storm force winds with this, but the main threat's going to be flash flooding.
Yeah, you're
same
on
for Jacksonville.
They're too much on the western side to get tornado.
Yep.
A question about Dublin, Georgia. Again, in the similar spot where you'll likely be protected inland, but you still might see some tropical storm force sustained winds for a period of time, but you will be likely on the west side, so it won't be as bad. But again, still a potential flood threat.
Thank you. All right. All right. We're going to continue answering questions in the chat right now.
St. Petersburg reported a wind gust of 60 miles an hour. A station at Sarasota, Brandon, reported a gust of 63 miles an hour.
Okay. Thank you.
Someone
we're getting...
asked,
Go ahead.
My bad.
No, you're good.
I was going to say somebody asked about Newberry, Florida. Again, in a similar spot near Cedar Key, Gainesville. That area is in the dirty side for tornadoes and heavy rainfall, and potentially near the strongest winds.
All right.
As soon as you mentioned,
Seizure warning. Oh.
No, you're
as
good.
soon
Don't
as
worry
you
about it.
mentioned Cedar Key, they just got a wind gust of 63 miles per hour with a mesmer.
That's not good.
So if you're in anywhere from Tallahassee to Gainesville and Jacksonville, that area, you'll be on the right side of the system.
Yeah.
And south as well. So Tampa Bay north, as well as east to Jacksonville. In that little triangle from Tallahassee to Tampa to Jacksonville, you'll be on the east side. Stronger winds, heavier rainfall, and potential for tornadoes. So that is really the main threats of the system.
Yeah. All right. Will Daytona Beach still get impacted?
It's me, Scott.
Oh, definitely. Some flash flooding is definitely likely to possible, depending on the location. Let's look at Daytona first.
If I can say.
I'm looking at it.
For Daytona Beach, you're kind of in an iffy spot. A few rain bands, you could get a spin up tornado or two.
What?
Just,
okay, Tristan, go ahead and continue.
You could get a spin up tornado or two. Maybe a little bit of flooding, depending on training. But Daytona is on a weird angle where, on one hand, you could get some bands, on the other hand, you could get the other. Just pay attention to the forecast and make sure to stay.
Yeah.
Basically, this Daytona is in a little bit of an awkward spot.
For sure.
Although that jog to the east might have gave Daytona a little bit more potential.
All right.
They are on the edge of the rain shaft, actually.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting asked about coastal North Carolina after seeing the icon. Throw the icon out, please. Throw it out. It's an outlier. Yeah.
I was going to say I have that model run pulled up. It is a 960 hurricane making landfall. That is like an extreme. That's like worst case scenario. Again,
basically,
this could either remain inland
talk.
or completely go out to sea. And if it does go out to sea, the main threat are consistent rain bands as it stalls. And the 960 millibar hurricane is probably an outlier. Because if we look at past runs, it's been pretty inconsistent on where it's going to be. Because it remains inland sometimes and stays weak, or stays right on the coast and stays about strong tropical storm, weak hurricane. And then other solutions are more outliers.
All right, thank you, Galaxy. Yeah, in the meantime, I'm going to show you the cone once again. The cone has this thing approaching South Carolina as a tropical storm right now. Depending on where this thing exits, if this thing exits further south near the Georgia-Florida border, that's going to give it more time over the water in order for it to allow for it to potentially strengthen. So if you're in South Carolina and Georgia, you need to still take this very seriously because the flood threat, number one, is absolutely going to be incredible. You're going to need to keep tabs on that. But number two, if this thing continues to organize and intensify, not only could that potentially cause some more damage in terms of wind speed and storm surge, that could just ultimately just make everything worse because all the flooding is going to flood all the roadways, all the not all the bridges, but all the roadways, all the highways, everything like that. And with potential wind damage on top of that, if that were the case, that would be an absolute nightmare scenario to have to go through. So you guys need to be taking this very seriously and paying very close attention to this.
I got some very good news.
What's up?
They expired the tornado warning.
All right, that is some good news, thankfully. In the meantime, though, there are still multiple flash flood warnings in effect right now for the Tampa area. I fully expect there to be more as the hours continue to go on. So, yeah, quite the situation that we're paying attention to right here. Yes, we are paying attention to Debby right now, but one thing I want to shift focus on, considering that this does pose a more of a long-term threat, is the area of interest that is currently hovering around and charging towards the Windward Islands, because we've been getting a few requests to talk about that briefly. We're only going to spend about 5 to 10 minutes on this because Debby is obviously the greater threat, but this is the area of interest that we're paying attention to for much of the Windward Islands and much of the Caribbean Sea towards the south, towards the Bay of Campeche over there, or Bay of Campeche. So here's what we have for the latest. A tropical wave located a couple hundred miles east of the Windward Islands continues to cruise into an area of showers and thunderstorm. An earlier satellite indicated 30 to 35 mile per hour winds just north of the wave axis. It's moving westward around 20 miles per hour. It is expected to cross the Windward Islands Monday morning and move into central and western the Caribbean by the middle to later part of this week. 30% chance of formation in the next 7 days. 10% chance of formation in the next 48 hours. And we can go ahead and zoom out and kind of give you a general idea of and take a look at it very quickly. So yeah, here's where the okay, that's a little too far to the west. I'll have to move to the central Atlantic.
May I
for
say
this.
something?
Sure.
In just a second.
Sure, go ahead.
Then I do not know if you just looked at the 18Z euro, but that landfall trended closer to the North Carolina border.
Okay. Yeah,
on the 18Z euro.
Yeah, I'm seeing it, and it's also a 985 millibar system, just off shore, 984. This thing could, that is interesting. I'm gonna
because
go.
The eye has been showing this. Remember,
I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up very quickly. I want to see what those winds are on this that the Europeans forecasting. Yeah, they're calling for about a 50 to 60 mile per hour tropical storm with this, which according to the winds is pretty interesting, but. That's pretty interesting in regards to the structure of it overall from the European, but yeah, that's definitely not going to be very good if this thing moves. If this thing moves further out into the Gulf Stream, that's not going to be fun at all. Yeah. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add?
How's radar?
We'll look at that in a second. Galaxy, what's up?
All right.
About the new area of interest. There are several. Well, first of all, the operational 18Z GFS has a weak tropical storm going into northern Mexico and southern Texas, but that is very far out. So take that with a very large grain of salt.
Yep.
And the 12Z Euro has a tropical wave, but it is pretty well defined. It going into the Bay of Campeche and the middle part of Mexico.
All right.
And the ensemble, there is a pretty large ensemble trend about development.
All right. Yeah, we've noticed the ensembles. It has a ton of ensemble support with this right here. This is the 12Z European, I believe. I'm going to check the 12Z GFS just to kind of see that.
I would like to say real quick, this is an interesting thing. On satellite, Debby looks really good. On the western side, on Doppler radar, however, unless that's just the radar going through so much moisture that it can't get the whole thing, Debby's western eye wall is only protected by a shower. Okay, that's a little iffy.
Yeah, I'm noticing that as well. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up for our audience right here. So, yeah. It's not just the Tampa radar picking up on it. It's also the Tallahassee radar showing that as well. Although there is some convection starting to finally wrap around the western side of it. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Regardless, if a little dry air gets into that, that could end up...
It's a tiny bit open. You can
yeah, I see it.
Areas of open.
I see it. Yeah, I see it as well.
Man, that center must be drunk. What is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad it's drunk though, because Florida don't need another major. A normal hurricane they can do. I think. Yeah. Have they needed rain? If they needed rain, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Drought monitor. Let's check. Drought monitor.
Okay. All right. Greg is back here. If anyone lives in Savannah metro area in Georgia, I just spoke with the mayor of Savannah, and he said that an involuntary evacuation for low-lying areas may be necessary after the 8 a.m. update. That's huge, right there. That's huge. I'm not sure the scope of the evacuation that they're thinking about doing, but the fact that they're considering this, not just because of the tropical storm, but most likely because of the flash flood threat, that's some bad news right there, and that should tell you how much seriously that officials are taking this. Like, it's quite alarming to say the very least.
We got some information on the drought because this is very interesting. The state that is going to be the bullseye for the most rain is the state with the most drought. Wow.
That also is going to be
at least y'all won't have a drought, but we didn't want it like this.
Yeah, that's going to be a double-edged sword, though, because if there's a pretty big drought there, the soil is going to be so dry that it's going to take quite a bit of time for the rain to get into get it through into the earth and for the soil to start drinking it up. which that could
Yeah.
cause a more immediate problem in terms of runoff and flash flooding. That's something that I was actually able to study in my river systems and landforms class last semester. I touted this with when Hurricane Beryl was going on, but just to briefly explain, if your ground is too dry, that can cause immediate problems with runoff and allow for potentially even faster flash flooding. If your ground is too wet, then it's going to take a lot less rain to saturate it and allow for more runoff to generate. So it's kind of you need a somewhat in between situation when a big storm like this is heading towards your area. So I'm
not too dry or not too wet. You need
Yep.
a perfect balance up in the soil composition.
Yep, exactly. So thank you for bringing that up, Tristan. Is there anything else you guys would like to add for those points?
There's also a small drought in Florida, so whatever occurs over there, hey, I think it's going to be gone by the time this goes.
Yeah, what was
At least y'all won't have a drought, and it's not too much. So
Yeah. Okay, what's up?
So, the latest radar imagery and also satellite, I'm looking at it where you can see the hot tower that's rotating around north. You can see all of the rainfall on radar just kind of disappear, which is indicative of very strong updrafts, which are stopping rainfall temporarily until the hot tower really gets its downdrafts and updrafts separated, which would allow it to be sustained for a lot longer.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, would that long term, would that be generally more good news for the system or bad news for the system in terms like maintaining itself?
If it separates the updraft and downdraft, that would be good for sustaining it. So
Okay.
that would mean it could intensify more because that is a very strong hot tower, as you can see on satellite.
Yeah, we can see it. Thank you for bringing that point up, Galaxy. Is there anyone else that would like to chime in? John's actually in the VC right now. I know he's deafened right now, so we'll have so hopefully he can undeafen himself and unmute himself so he can kind of contribute a little bit. But regardless, Weather Kingdom, we haven't spoken too much in a bit. What are your overall takes on this?
My overall takes.
Yeah, and
right
overall,
now
with the satellite and the flooding and all, like especially with what I was mentioning with the soil and the drought and all that.
Yes, I agree with you on that. If the soil is very dry and you do have a very bad drought, it tends, if you get those heavy downpours, even in just a thunderstorm, you can get quick ponding on the roads, quick ponding in the backyard. So if you got a huge tropical system heading into a very dried area, those rain bands are very tropical, means heavy rain. And in a short amount of time, we can see major flooding in just a few hours, depending on some of those bands rotating and stalling in some matter. Another thing is satellite. Yes, I do see the blowing up. And in the radar, I did see a bit more of a jog to the north. That I'm using the radar, but
Yep, I
maybe
see
it's
it too.
different on Weather Omega.
Mm-hmm.
There was one lightning strike. I was going to mention it, but there was one lightning strike actually in the northwest eye wall.
Okay.
It was just one little strike, but that's interesting because you guys say the west side seemed like it has lost some of its rain bands. So seeing that lightning on the northwest rotating around, we could see an uptick in convection on the western side. And overall, I do think an eye could fully wrap itself around before it makes landfall. I would say the landfall has probably shortened a little bit because of the eastern jog.
Yes.
So maybe more like 6 a.m. Eastern time of a landfall, maybe even earlier. I wouldn't rule that out. But just remember, any little jog could change it again. Let's say we have now a right back to the west type jog, then it's more time over the water.
Yep.
But it's very interesting how the radar has been tonight.
Yeah.
On these jogs and the elongated low eye wall. It's just been interesting.
Yeah.
I would say.
It definitely has been. Weather Kingdom's been also making some videos of his own on his own YouTube channel. His link is in the stream once again, so be sure you go ahead and check his channel out and subscribe to him, because he'll be continuing to cover this as well as the rest of the hurricane season, and he will be here in Storms United helping us with the live streams. But in the meantime, though, John is in the stream right now. John, how are you doing?
Doing all right. How are you doing?
Doing great. You've been paying attention to this to some extent? What's your thinking about this? Like, and what are you surprised about, if you are at all?
Honestly, looking at the track from yesterday, I expected this to make landfall a little bit farther west. Now it looks like we could see a little bit of an earlier landfall and more of a eastern track now.
Yeah. We saw a bit of an eastward jog earlier in regards to that. We've been paying attention to the flash flooding threat. John, what's your best advice for flash flooding, considering that I'm sure I know that both of us have lived through some flash flooding, pretty big flash flooding events in the past.
Number one thing: turn around, do not drown. If you see flooded roadways, don't risk it. Turn around.
That's the one key takeaway we can really give, because one thing that I don't think a lot of people realize is it takes only a few inches of rain to wash away your entire vehicle. Because I want to explain something very quickly. A cubic yard of water weighs like pretty much a cube of water that's 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. It weighs 1,728 pounds, and when that hits, it literally feels like that's that weight hitting on you. And water is not a soft material either. It's not, especially at that volume. So water has a lot of force behind it. Like the physics of it kind of allow for it to have that kind of force. So that's why we talk about flash flooding so much, because I don't think a lot of people realize how much water actually weighs, like especially at such a big scale in regards to that. So I wanted to make that point very clear. So what's up?
That, and when you see flooded roadways, you don't even know what's in that water. It could be hazardous. There could be debris. You never know.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay. All right. Weather Kingdom, what's the latest with the lightning? I know you saw a lightning strike before, but has that updated in the last few minutes?
Let me check.
All right, perfect.
Everybody is memeing about Debby with one of the satellites.
No, in the latest frame, there's not a lightning strike in the center, just in the outer bands on the latest frame.
All right.
I'm gonna finish the no mic.
That's fine. All right. In the meantime, though,
Those
once
hot
again,
towers.
Yep. In the meantime, though, be sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps us get more people engaged with weather. We are currently 21 subscribers away from 9,600. So if you could hit that subscribe button, that would be much appreciated, because we are trying to reach that goal tonight by the end of the stream. So that's what we're looking at right there. Okay, this is VC no mic. Oh, we're already seeing memes with Debby right here. Yeah, I will say though, considering the fact that this poses a huge flash flooding threat, this is not exactly a huge laughing matter. So
it's not, but it does this.
Yeah,
it does raise our spirits a little bit. To at least know the storm's trying to be a little funny.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Is it just me, or did the rain forecast update a little bit? Yeah, it definitely updated. Because now, so we have our updated rain total. Charleston, Savannah are still getting slammed, but now it looks
pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, what's up?
Look at closer to the northeast. You even see some yellows. I do not know if that's part of the cold front that we'll be going through.
No, that's part of Debby.
Okay, if that's part of Debby, that's 4 to 6 inches right there. We're gonna really have to watch the Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, that's in
Northeast, and then coming down
the Washington D.C. market, like I called out earlier.
Yeah, because there has been many flash flood watches the last few days. because of some slow-moving thunderstorms. So
Yeah.
there is already prone to flooding. And in the long run, if this does trend to the northeast and we see like I won't say Isaias at all, but a big rain event in the northeast, that could mean quicker flooding.
Absolutely, 1,000%. That we should absolutely take that away. Take that away. But regardless, though, looking at this new map, it looks like we are still looking at an additional foot of rain for parts of the Big Bend, and it looks like things are about to really escalate for parts of southern Georgia and South Carolina. North Carolina, they're now in some areas expect to get almost a foot of rain just around the Wilmington area. So we're going to have to keep very close tabs because that could also be a very big flash flood risk right there. So, yeah. All right. Does anyone else have any other thoughts?
Not really. I'm just been tracking the radar and the satellite and just the recon. I will say let me just quickly check recon. I do know they were about to intercept the center.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. And they are finding, I think, close to hurricane force on the northeastern side now. Latest pressure. Oh, it's not out yet.
Okay. That's a problem. Extrapolate pressure of 979.8.
You're kidding. You're kidding. No way.
Now, keep in mind, we need dropson data. We need to pay attention to that. And some of the SFMR data has been flagged. A couple of them have been. But we're seeing extrapolated pressure now of 979, ladies and gentlemen. We're at 980. I believe it's 985 on the public advisory.
985, but latest recon supports 984. But
Okay.
I will say the extrapolated pressure has been consistently lower than what's been actually recorded in the storm. So if it's 984 right now, I would guess 982 or 981.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. But regardless, though, if this
continues to strengthen.
Yeah, this thing continues to strengthen. That's the bottom line.
Slowly, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is just moving north now. On the latest frames.
Yeah, I've noticed it as
Debby,
well.
you got to decide on which direction to go. Your GPS should not be broken, Debby.
Yeah, regardless, though, this has been a rapidly escalating situation all night. So, yeah, and we still have plenty of warm water for this thing to continue to get its act together. And it looks
Can I
like
say something about Tampa?
Go ahead.
You guys have still many more bands to go because I'm looking on radar and it looks like the bands, when the bands train and sit over the same area, I'm starting to notice that for like Tampa and the areas for the flash flood warning. So I wouldn't be surprised another 3 to 5 inches.
Yeah.
With some of these bands. And seeing already a foot, you guys can end up getting almost 15 inches in some spots by the end. And that was not forecasted. So if the rainfall is already overproducing in spots, that just concerns me further down with even the bigger area of flooding.
Yeah.
For Georgia and South Carolina.
Absolutely.
I will say with the broken nature of the bands, though, and the broken nature of the system, I have been noticing, and this is good news. The supercells have not been able to take advantage of the storm relative felicity in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's good. That means less tornadoes.
We don't want any tornadoes.
Yeah.
Even though we had 6 reports today already, but that was before Debby now there.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have 500 people in chat right now. Be sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are getting very close to 9,600 subs tonight, and we are trying to reach that by the end of the stream. So we got to continue to keep close tabs on this, and we're continuing to look at the recon data. Extrapolated pressure of 979.8. However, we are still waiting for dropson data to confirm or deny that. So we're going to have to pay attention to it. Regardless, I am taking a look at some of the dropson data right here. Latest pass, and this was around right before the 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Eastern advisory. It was at 986 with 20 miles per hour, which supports 984 millibars as a minimum central low pressure system. Okay, I gotta show you guys this real quickly. Check VC no mic. I'm about to show you something a little interesting. Go ahead and laugh at this with the SFMR data. It's gone a little haywire, to say at the very least.
That's the recon that's currently in temp or going back.
Yeah, I know, but I'm showing you the flagged SFMRs just to kind of laugh at them for a second because, hey, we like to laugh here too. So, yeah. So,
Oh my God.
yeah, there's no way.
If that was over Florida,
Yeah,
that's major destruction right now, if that was true.
Yeah.
But it's not, everybody. It's just a little error.
No, it's not. It's, a small 50 knot
A
error.
massive, massive error.
Okay. In the meantime, though, I'm going to check the latest satellite imagery to kind of see what we're looking at and kind of see how this thing sustains itself. Those hot towers are, like, that, at least the convection surrounding it is starting to merge together. Not sure what that's going to do to it in the long term, but short term, it's continuing to get interesting over there. But one thing I will say is just this overall evolution of this system has been very interesting to watch because this thing developed south of Cuba when everyone was anticipating this to either move over the island or north of it. If this thing had done either of those, we would not be talking about this kind of situation tonight. We would have most likely been talking about a much weaker system, battling some dry air and some wind shear. But this thing,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, but this thing has continued to kind of amaze us in some regard with how resilient and how much it's been fighting. So I figured I'd kind of highlight that very quickly. And yeah, we were worried about this potentially last night because it had that shrimp shape, that classic shrimp shape right before a system starts to intensify, and we now understand why that is. So yeah,
The bottom line, if there's a shrimp face on the satellite for any future storms, it's
Watch
most
the
likely.
evolution. Don't rush.
Yep, watch the evolution. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, regardless, this is what's up.
People are asking where the worst of the storm is going to be, so I'm looking at the interactive cone on the NHC website.
That's
and right
such
now,
do you mind if I
That's hard.
answer that, Galaxy?
I was gonna say, looking at the cone from the NHC website, the interactive one where you can zoom in, I would say probably southeast of.
Where?
I'm trying to find like a good landmark spot for
Like,
this. But-
Okay.
So near the coast where Gainesville is, a bit northwest of that, down towards Cedar Key, that's probably where the strongest winds are going to end up being.
All right. But the question here, I would like to answer that as well because there's two answers to that actually. Galaxy was mentioning one of them. The other is the rainfall flash flood risk, where because there's two big threats that we need to watch. Where's the worst wind is going to be and where the worst flash flooding is going to be. The worst wind is going to be in the Big Bend region, and you need to definitely prepare for that. But where the worst flash flooding would be, and what I would arguably say is the overall worst risk, is in South Carolina and North and Southeast Georgia. That's where I would say the ultimately greater risk is. Because flash flooding, I've said this before, is the main risk we are watching. This isn't this is going to turn into a major hurricane and the flash flooding will be a byproduct. This is not like that. This isn't like Adalia from last year. This is a worse version of Hermine, as Tristan put it. Mainly because of the flash flooding going on in Charleston and Savannah. Both very big population centers. Would you guys like to add anything else?
I was
not
gonna
really.
say I just joined, and I am aware that Debby is not a hurricane.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is.
I'm aware that Debby is a hurricane, and yeah.
Thank you,
this is
John,
great.
for pointing that out. We have between we have a lot of storm relative to this, but because of the way the storm is shaped, they're not taking advantage right now, which we love, because after what happened with Beryl, we do not want to repeat.
We absolutely do not want that to happen. But yeah, for those tuning in, if you have any questions to type into the chat, we'd be more than happy to answer. Is it over for Tampa? No, you're not out of the woods yet. You are not out of the woods yet. There's still several bands that we need to watch this thing continue to move through.
And 1 or 2 tornadoes are still possible, depending on the evolution of the band.
Yeah.
So Tampa just popped another flash flood warning. 5 to 10 inches of rain have fallen, and additional rainfall amounts of 2 to 4. Flash flooding is already ongoing, with water rescues being reported in Pinellas and Manatee counties.
Wow. That's bad. Yeah, this thing is. Oh, hey guys! No, in case you're noticing, we're seeing that banding feature starting to wrap around the western side on the radar. This started about 30 minutes ago. In case you guys are watching this, it's not. It's definitely an indication that this thing's trying to close off and kind of form a stronger core. So I figured I'd bring that up very quickly.
Are you looking at Tampa Bay radar or Tallahassee?
I'm looking at Tampa Bay. Actually, yeah, Tampa Bay. Tallahassee is showing a similar situation.
The system has been having to fight for so long. I just want to say this real quick. We should be proud of something. It's going to repeat Hermine exactly.
Potentially.
Because I don't think it's going to get above 85 miles an hour with how much it's been fighting. It's making landfall at the same location. The eastern side has been stronger. Like the western side's been weaker. All of that correlated to Hermine in 2016. But you know what? Our analog.
On top of that, didn't Hermine become a hurricane around this time?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another coincidence.
In the meantime,
what a coincidence! The analog is almost exactly right. The only difference is it's Georgia and South Carolina getting the stalling.
Yeah.
Off the coast of New York State. That's the only difference.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we're getting some more questions in the chat. Let's go ahead and answer them very quickly.
Any win for Tampa, guys?
There's still going to be some wind, guys.
Yeah. Flash flood emergency. Did I just hear that? Mbot, come here.
Let me confirm that. Hold on one second.
Yeah, let me check.
Let me check IMBot.
I don't see flash flood emergency, but I do see.
Yes, I do right here.
Another observed.
Where's it at?
No, flash flood warning.
Okay.
Flash flood warning observed. Damage rate considerable. Does not affect for Horrendo, Hillsborough.
I did mention.
I do not have a flash flood emergency. So no.
All right, it's a considerable threat, though. That's what I was able to
considerable.
pull up.
Yes.
I would not be surprised if a flash flood emerged eventually.
Yeah. In the meantime, though, let's go ahead and answer some questions. Will upstate South Carolina be okay? If you mean in upstate South Carolina, if you mean like Greenville, Spartanburg, you're definitely going to see some impacts, but not nearly as much as South Carolina. Columbia, South Carolina, I can go ahead and pull this up. Looking to me like it's going to be in that gradient of rainfall in that metro area over there. Overall, an average about maybe 6 to 8 inches of rain or so, and according to some of those areas. What?
Yeah, Midlands and Low Country of South Carolina are going to be probably the heaviest. Heavily impacted.
The whole state of South Carolina should be very ready for flash flooding, though, because even if you don't have the most amount of rain, if you get a rapid downpour of at least 2 inches per hour with the drought making the soil not as good, you're going to get the ground.
Hey guys, I'm noticing this on satellite. Hold on a second. I'm noticing this on satellite. Looks like the shear is starting to chip away at the outer structure of it.
Yeah.
You guys seeing that?
I see that on the northern side, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what happened with Beryl. I just saw it. So it looks like it is starting to chip away at at least the outer structure. It hasn't reached the core yet, and the core is still developing nicely. And it was kind of something I was anticipating when I was uploading my video earlier today.
You know what that means?
What's that?
Once those supercells form, get ready.
Yep.
I will say that there is a dry slot still looks like potential to mix it out, so it might not intensify as much again. So it still has to work on mixing out dry air.
Yeah, Galaxy Bender, while I have you, in your opinion, does this feel like a Hermine repeat so
I
far?
would say this is a complete, well, it's a different scenario. It's making landfall in this similar area and at a similar strength, but Hermine was a faster, well, not faster, but it was a different origin, and it's gonna have a mostly different track
All right.
after landfall.
All right, thank you very much for your input right there. Be sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It helps us get more people engaged with weather. We are 12 away from 9,600. So if you could hit that red subscribe button, that would be much appreciated. We would absolutely love you if you did that.
Well, white subscribe button, but yes.
The white subscribe button. I'm sorry. I'm used to the whole red subscribe button. Regardless, hit the subscribe button, whatever the color it is. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Bro, they should have bring the red option back, but regardless.
Okay, on the latest GFS,
What's up?
does anyone have opinions on the latest GFS?
Let me take a look at
I
it.
mean, come on. I don't think that's... If that happens...
By the way, one thing about Hermine is that it actually formed like a month after this. Like, it actually formed a month later.
One thing I will say, I know this is... Oh,
It actually formed
sorry.
on August 28th.
Okay,
August.
ha, GFS. You're very funny tonight. No, this thing is not making a massive loop-de-loop and making landfall in Georgia and then blitzing through the deep south. Ha. Very funny.
Hey, Ivan.
Okay, latest
Hey,
drops on,
Ivan.
Oh, okay, Galaxy, go ahead.
latest drops on from the 979 extrapolated is in. I was correct. It was 981 millibars. So yes, it's still deepening.
Ooh.
This time at a 3 millibar drop.
Yeah, I figured as such. But anyway, we do have questions about North Carolina. We're going to go ahead and briefly talk about North Carolina. The main risk for flash flooding is in the
Might be able
Wilmington
to
area.
answer.
What's up?
Yeah, I was gonna say I might be able to answer a couple of this.
Oh, sure, go ahead. You good, Sakura?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. I'm taking a look at that right now. I'm taking a look at the flood risk. Yeah, it looks like the Wilmington area is going to be the main risk. If you're in Raleigh-Durham, you're getting 4 to 6 inches of rain according to this, so you need to pay very close attention to that as well. Charlotte does not look like it's going to be as much of a flash flood risk, but areas east of there in the Piedmont and on the coastal area absolutely need to be paying very close attention. And even in the Outer Banks too, it looks like you're gonna get some pretty significant flash flooding. So I figured I'd bring that up very quickly. So
Also, I would like to chime in on the North Carolina flood threat.
Sure.
That track forecast, that part of the track forecast is much further out, so the rainfall values are going to be much more conservative, as well as it highly depends on the track. If it goes east or it stays inland, there's going to be a lot more rainfall, obviously farther inland, but if it stays near the Outer Banks, obviously the Outer Banks is going to get more rainfall. So the track is very uncertain 5 days out, so you should just stay aware and be aware of the potential for flash flooding throughout the entire state and even up into the mid-Atlantic up to Virginia.
absolutely. So thank you very much for that. What's up?
Can you check a place in North Carolina for me?
What's up?
Winston-Salem.
Someone's asking.
Winston-Salem. All right.
Oh, Winston-Salem.
Yeah,
That's like in the West
Winston-Salem.
Central
Okay.
State.
Winston-Salem looks like they're going to get about 1 to 2 inches of rain. I know that's Winston-Salem. That's right next to Greensboro, right?
Yeah, that's north.
Yep.
That's like
Yeah,
north,
I know that's.
northeast of Charlotte.
Yeah, I know that they're not ultimately a big flood risk right now. It's mainly going to be much east of that, pretty much Raleigh east. So, hope that answered your question.
about
New wind
Raleigh
goes from the
to about
Sarasota
Livingston.
airport at 61 miles an hour.
All right, Sakura, go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, from about Raleigh to about Lillington, Harnett County, about Fayetteville to Lumberton, points east.
Yeah, absolutely.
About that line.
Yeah. Yeah,
And also,
definitely.
real quick, someone said I went through Floyd in 1999. So much flooding around the Jacksonville, North Carolina area. Yeah, Floyd was an interesting.
Yeah, Floyd was brutal from what I was able to look at in terms of records.
There was a lot of flooding, and then here's the thing: the environmental impacts are still being felt to this day because there's still sediment from Floyd at the bottom of Pamlico Sound.
Yeah.
It's still down there to this day.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible, right? Regardless of that.
Yeah.
What's up? All right.
Well, everybody, unfortunately, show must come to the end. Let's go out, and I must leave this performance of Debby and go to sleep. I will see you all a bit later.
All right, Tristan. Thank you for coming on tonight. I really appreciate you helping us out.
And for our viewers, one more thing. Turn around, don't drown.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think that's the perfect thing to end off with in terms of Tristan. Thank you very much for being on. We appreciate all the help.
Thank you, Tristan.
Good night. Don't let the bed bug bite. Don't let Debby bite, and don't stay up too long.
Yep, definitely not. We're one subscriber away from 9,600 subs, so be sure to hit the subscribe button.
Too long.
Yeah.
All right, good night.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, yeah, we are one subscriber away from 9,600, so if you could hit the subscribe button, that would be much appreciated, because that's what we were aiming for tonight. And yeah, we are continuing our coverage with Hurricane Debby as this thing gets closer and closer to the Yep, we just hit 9,600 subscribers. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Much appreciated for that. I'm really humbled. I'm really grateful that you guys decide to are willing to subscribe to me and get more engaged with weather. But in the meantime, though, we're continuing our coverage of Debby. We've been watching it on satellite. We've been watching it on radar. And it looks like the radar is starting to get a little bit more interesting over here. And I can go ahead and show you that. Right now, it looks like that banding is starting to kind of close off, at least seal it temporarily, the western side of that. So that's going to be interesting. It's still a little bit of a messy setup right now with the eye and all that. It's going to be continuing to do that as this thing approaches. I want to go ahead and take a look at this real quickly. Yeah, it looks like it's starting to move a bit more northeast, at least. Yeah, which is kind of interesting.
I would say maybe a little bit. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Maybe.
Sure.
Even just north.
Yeah.
It could be moving.
Yeah, regardless, let's say this thing moves just due north right here. Where this thing is at, it's about 80 miles off the coast, and this thing's moving at 12 miles per hour. So, and that might change as we get later into the night and as we get more advisories. That's about 7.5 hours away from landfall. If it's moving northeast, that change is about 20 miles, 20 miles less than on shore. So that would make it about a 5.5 hour landfall, although this could slow down still as we get more information and more data. So I wanted to make that update for you guys because we are getting close to landfall and we're going to have to keep close tabs on it. So, yeah.
Okay, so Weather Dev 3 says, could this be a very costly hurricane due to flooding potential like Harvey? Obviously, nothing close to that. They mentioned,
yeah,
a pretty damaging hurricane.
Yeah,
this will probably be a pretty damaging hurricane, but this is probably not going to be anything like Florence, Fran. Well, might be something similar to Fran, but not anything like Floyd.
Yeah.
Floyd is in a league of its own.
Yep.
Florence is in a league of her own. Fran?
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on Fran.
We'll have to keep...
You'll have to look at that.
Fran, by the way, was a Category 3 at landfall in North Carolina. It was only moving at about a pitiful 3 miles an hour when it came ashore at Cape Fear in 1996.
Hey, Galaxy, thanks for setting that, by the way. But Sakura, go ahead and continue.
Yeah. Let me actually get this.
Yeah. In the meantime, though, here's what we have from Mark Meyer. Despite Debby having trouble closing off an inner eye wall, pressure has now dropped in the latest pass down to 980 millibars now. That's not good, ladies and gentlemen. This thing is still deepening at a pretty fast rate at this current point, because the last pass was about an hour and change ago. We were at 984. This is now down to 980. So that's not good, and this thing is still deepening pretty fast. And even though it doesn't have much time left over water, it's still going. Okay, this is interesting. I want you guys to take a quick look at this, and I want your thoughts on it with Recon. What they're finding. It's in VC no mic. I want your guys' thoughts on this.
Yeah, I was gonna say. One second.
Yeah, it looks like the center of circulation is kind of oscillating all over the place in this hurricane, which is pretty interesting. Yeah,
because I guarantee you, when they go back in, it's going to be in a different area, like further south. So I just think it is. It's just doing loopy loops in its own core.
In a way, it is. Sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's been doing that, making loopy loops in its own core.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
I do.
Go ahead, Galaxy.
I do want to say the 981 sonde was with 10 knot winds at the surface, so the exact center would likely have pressure of 980 millibars.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at as well. Anyone else have any thoughts?
Recon's going back into this, and we're gonna have to look at it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Intercepts it.
Yeah,
but I will say they are finding more and more hurricane force winds on more sides, slowly but surely, and each pass on the sides. So that means hurricane force winds are spreading out on especially the eastern side and northern side.
All right, we got some questions in chat. Are we rolling out 100 miles per hour at landfall? Yes. There's not enough time for that anymore. We are completely rolling that out. At this point, I think my original estimate ceiling at 85 is what's going to end up happening, if that, at this rate.
I wouldn't
maybe 90. Maybe 90.
I'm not seeing it.
In my opinion, I would not completely rule out 100. That is like the absolute peak intensity.
Okay.
It still has about 10 hours over water, and it's currently in a rapid intensification phase, gaining momentum. So again, it's deepened from
and slowing down.
Okay, let Galaxy talk.
The advisory earlier was at about 984 millibars or 985 millibars, and now about an hour and a half later is now 980 millibars. So it's intensifying at, I'll say, 4 millibars an hour, which is very quick. And so I wouldn't, if it has 8 to 10 hours to landfall, before the core starts to move onshore and it can't really intensify due to land friction, then again, I would say 100 miles per hour. It's not unrealistic, but it's the peak intensity.
Absolutely.
May I say?
Go ahead.
May I say something?
Sure.
On the latest Canadian, there is it shows that wave that goes across the Caribbean, going into the Bay of Campeche, but not just that. Further out, this is take it with a grain of salt. Has another wave going about just northeast of Puerto Rico, right there.
I'm noticing that. Yeah, I'm noticing that. Like all the models have been. Go ahead.
So that just tells you the Atlantic is showing even more signs that it's waking up, and I wouldn't be surprised we end up getting the E-name storm in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, it's
very soon.
Yeah, it's going to be a rotating carousel of tropics. Go ahead.
Speaking of E-name storms, and I should mention this, Tropical Storm Amelia is now a thing in the EPAC.
Yeah, we saw that earlier. Yeah, it's like the
yeah.
Eastern Pacific and the Atlantic are now competing for storm names now, which I think is kind of funny. But yeah, that's just me.
I mean, they're kind of neck and neck right now. I mean, Debbie's a hurricane, but the EPAC hasn't gotten any hurricanes yet.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
The EPAC,
Eastern Pacific, 2 hurricanes in the Atlantic to zip in the EPAC.
Yeah, go ahead, Galaxy.
Eastern Pacific had Carlotta. That was a hurricane.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot Carlotta was a hurricane.
Its peak intensity. Carlotta's peak intensity was only 90 miles per hour, as to the forecast of 105. So the East Pac continues to underperform.
Ha ha ha! Yes, unfortunate. Well,
Meanwhile,
fortunately, it does.
West Pac is on fire right now.
Yeah, we've noticed that as well. The Western Pacific. Yeah, tropics have been waking up all over the world. That's why we're kind of saying that right here. Okay, we're getting some reports that Orlando is having some power outages. Can we confirm that? Is there a way we can find a power outage like indicator with that?
I know exactly what to
If you want to view power outages, go to poweroutage.us.
Poweroutage.us. Yes,
right.
That's what I was about.
I cannot find
I got it.
County. Orange
United
County.
States power outage map. Oh, yep, here
Orange
it is.
County has 91 people out.
Yep, that's. But the main, it looks like there's over 5,000 customers out in Levi County, right there. We're also looking at in Pinellas County, 45,000 customers are without power, and we have Citrus County 4,700. Wakula is at 806. 421 for Taylor. So yeah, we're starting to see some power outages increase, and total power outages for the state is around 80,000 from Debby. So that's what we're paying attention to right there, and we'll keep you updated right there. So thank you for the report, and we'll keep.
Just an interesting tidbit.
Yeah.
There are 23,000 people without power, or 23,000 customers without power in Douglas County, Nebraska. Why is that?
Because there was a 90-mile-per-hour storm that moved through Omaha.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
Wow.
That makes sense.
That's stronger winds than this storm.
Those were
stronger.
gusts. This thing is sustained.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Regardless of that, though, we're starting to get more customers without power. So good thing it's a good thing we're finally starting to pay attention to that as well. So that's something else.
Radar is looking interesting again.
All right. What's up, Sakura?
Also, if you guys did not hear, and I'm not sure if you guys are aware, Typhoon Gamey in the West Pac from last month killed 123 people and injured nearly 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Wow.
Actually, here's the thing. The floods that were caused by Gamey in North Korea might have caused 1,500 fatalities.
Oh.
Given that North Korea doesn't like us to have our access to their data, we just have to get off make an estimate.
That was reported by TV Chosun, which is the North Korean state television media.
Yeah, that's not good.
Korea. So it might be a bit higher.
Yeah, that's not good up there. But regardless of that, though, that's obviously terrible. What's going on in Asia right there. And in the meantime, not only is it seems like all three basins, Sakura, are waking up at the same time. It seems.
The only basin that's not waking up right now is the North Indian.
Yeah,
whenever that wakes up, you better prepare for some really deadly storms. I'm telling you that right now.
Doesn't their cyclone season last it doesn't start until November or something, right? I could be wrong.
Well, North Indian cyclones. Technically there's 2 seasons in a single year.
Sure.
One season is pre-monsoon. That's from January to about early May.
All right.
And then the second season is in the fall, post-monsoon, so October to December.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and answer some questions in the chat right now. We're already getting some help with that. Let me go ahead.
Pat, your screen is black.
It is? Oh, thank
On
you.
my end is.
Yes, thank
Yes, on
you.
stream.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hey, we're
Yeah,
getting
you're welcome.
we're getting better at this. So, all right. Okay. All right. Okay. If let's go ahead and ask. All right. Could Debbie go west? No. It
Sorry
could
for
wobble.
interrupting again, but
What's
I
up?
did not hear about Cyclone Ramal. And Cyclone Ramal in the North Indian,
All right.
probably $8 billion in damage in
Oof.
Bangladesh.
Yeah, but in the meantime, I was asked a question. If we were asked a question, is if this thing is going to move west. The answer to that is no. It might jog a little bit. It might oscillate back to the west a little bit, but it's not going to move there in general. All right. When do you expect the eye wall to be fully wrapped around? It's going to take a while, but probably not until right before landfall, if you ask me.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. How come it's not even storming in Jacksonville? Well, we can go ahead and show you the radar. That's because the worst of it hasn't even arrived in It's like the very outer bands have started to arrive in Jacksonville, and I can go ahead and show you that. But they're both north and south of the system, and there's very light rain, but that could be attributed to a bit of a radar error over there. But regardless, yeah, the worst of it's going to be hitting it starting in a couple of hours. Well, the core of it at least. Yeah, the pressure is low for the winds. Will the winds catch up? It's going to it may, we don't know. It's usually that's the case, but this may not have enough time for that to do that. If it does catch up to the 980 millibar pressure we're finding, we could see 90 miles an hour. That's what I'm thinking. If that were the case, but it has to do it fast. All right. Has the recent that recent eye wall wrap noteworthy? Very much so. It absolutely is, because what that's telling us is the eye is finally starting to wrap around, and it's finally starting to organize itself better. And we're also starting to see a little more convection popping up here and there as small cells on the western side of it, hoping to reinforce it. So that's definitely a big indicator, and it looks like the core is just about to close. So, yeah, at least temporarily, permanently, it probably will once it gets to towards land. All right.
Satellite has just been
it's just
consistent with the convection.
It's just been absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah.
By the way, the radar that you showed.
Yeah, radar scope.
You guys need those rain bands are very heavy, you guys. If you guys were looking at those rain bands hitting Florida, you can definitely see up to 1 inch to 2 inches an hour in some of these rain bands, potentially even more.
Yeah.
If it stalls over you guys. Jackson County, Florida, in the clear? Question mark? No,
not even close. You haven't even started. You haven't even started with that.
Do y'all? Another question. Do y'all think this is it for Florida?
Not even close.
Storms this season. Nope.
Not even close. This is just the beginning.
Yep.
Go ahead.
5 miles an hour? Question mark.
It's moving at 12. It's moving at 12.
Yep. Chris, where did you go to school for meteorology?
That's towards I think another user. All right.
Okay.
In the meantime, though.
Oh, my bad.
All right. Can anyone please touch on South Carolina? We've been touching on it all night, but we can go ahead and give you the spiel once again. Charleston is going to get hammered by this rain. They're pretty much, I would say, Columbia South is going to get hammered by flash flooding. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's going to stall just off the coast, and it's going to cause a ton of flash flooding. That's what's going to happen. So,
yep.
Yeah. How come it's not storming in Ocala? Now that I know where that generally is. It is, actually. The radar is clearly showing that. Not just on Tampa Bay, but Jacksonville is as well. You're definitely getting some rain from
Speaking
that.
of Jacksonville, by the way. Speaking of Jacksonville, by the way, I should mention this. There is a couple squalls about to move on shore to coastal Georgia and South Carolina as well. There is actually special marine warning that is waterspout possible, and if that waterspout possible holds together, it may possibly, not saying it will, there may be a chance for at least 1 or 2 tornado warnings on the coast of coastal Georgia.
Yeah.
Not saying it will, but like the southern half of the coast of Georgia is, like the entire southern half of coastal Georgia is in a special marine warning for a waterspout possible.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Is it over for Seminole, Florida, north of St. Pete? No, it's not. Unfortunately, it is not. You're definitely.
I would say, no, it's not. Because those rain bands are still pumping ashore.
Yep.
Crazy.
For general advice for most people in Florida asking about is it over, if you're south of Tampa Bay, you may still get a few trailing rain bands, but that's going to be mostly about it. If you're north of there, if you're north of Tampa but south of about Cedar Key, you're probably in like the worst, but you're getting towards the back half. And in the areas where there are hurricane warnings, then yes, the storm is still the worst of it is still yet to come.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, if you're in Miami, Key West.
Yeah, it's pretty much done.
South of Cape Coral, you're good.
You're good.
But if you're
if you're
like north of Tampa, maybe as far west as Tallahassee.
Yeah.
You got a long ways to go.
Definitely.
Now, if you're west of Tallahassee, you're completely fine. You're like, clear skies in Pensacola right now, actually.
Yeah, Tallahassee, they're just west of this rain right here. Let me pull it up on radar very quickly. Yeah, they're just west of it, and it looks like it's starting to enter the Tallahassee metro area. So we definitely need to pay attention to it. And Tallahassee definitely could start seeing some rain very soon. Probably not for the next, I'd say, 30 to 60 minutes, but that's what we're looking at for that general area. It's moving into the metro over there. But yeah, Pensacola, that's nothing but clear skies.
Yeah.
Although I will say, do not go swimming in the. I will say, if you're from Panama City West, do not go swimming.
Yeah, if you're like Pensacola, Mobile, New Orleans, just don't go swimming.
Yep.
Occurrence is going to be a major problem.
Yeah. I'm going to check water vapor imagery just for that. Okay, this shear, while it's starting to chip at the way of the structure, is really enhancing the outflow. Are you guys seeing this? Like,
your screen's black again.
Are you okay? A good thing it was only for like 15 seconds though. But yeah, are you guys seeing this this outflow getting getting carried by the shear? That is interesting. And it looks like some cells are firing up in the southwest Atlantic. I think that's what Tristan was kind of referring to in terms of tropical tornadoes. Cells like that right there, kind of helped by the wind shear move east of the tropical cyclone. But yeah, this outflow is getting picked up, and that's definitely going to help tighten the area right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it safe to say the main concern from the storm is flooding, not wind damage? Or would you anticipate Tallahassee needs to brace for severe wind gusts? Flooding is by far the main threat. By far the main threat. Do I think Carabel will get hit bad? I'd have to take a look. I'll have to take a look at that over there. Carabel. Yeah. Do we know where Carabel is? I'm not too familiar with Florida or northern Florida or Georgia. I'll take.
Hello?
Wait, is that Yoshi?
Carabel?
Yeah, I accidentally fell asleep at like 9 and I just woke up to a flash flood warning alert.
That doesn't sound good.
I will say, Carabel, Florida.
Oh yeah, that's south of Tallahassee.
Yeah, it's south of Tallahassee, west or east of Apalachicola.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, Yoshi, there's a bunch of flash flooding going on right now. It's been
Yeah,
a pretty
I saw it
interesting
crawling.
night. Don't worry
I
about it.
saw the flash flood warnings crawling up the coast before I fell asleep, and I was preparing for one, but I was just too tired, man.
Yeah.
Sorry about missing, like, most.
Don't worry about
stream.
it. It's okay. You're here now. That's all that matters. But anyway, I'm watching this tweet, taking a look at this tweet from WFLA News. Right here.
All right, Tropics on the. Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just thought I'd take a look at that very quickly. But yeah, Yoshi, are you seeing, like, what are your thoughts on Debby so far? I know you just woke up. Hopefully you had a little bit of time to look at the data very quickly, because this thing's now a hurricane.
That's the only change I know so far.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw updated rain amounts.
Yeah.
Which it's probably going to go for like 3 to 4 more inches for me of rain before it goes.
Are you in an area of higher ground?
Yeah, I'd say I'm like 5 to 10 miles from the coast right now. I think I'm safe.
From flash flooding too.
Yeah, we're mostly in an urbanized neighborhood.
That's good. As long as you're not in a flood-prone area, that's the best news we could ask for. So
now, before I went to sleep, normally there's like a patch of grass between the sidewalk and the road.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, in like strong storms like we would have here, that would immediately flood. But so far, I haven't seen that flood, which is a bit weird. But that means that we aren't seeing as much rain as we thought.
Yeah, that's some good news. What's John looking at? Okay, John's streaming radar on our Discord call. All right. I just wanted to take a look at that very quickly. Anyway, yeah. So Yoshi, this thing is close to landfall, and based on radar, if you've been paying attention to it, it looks like it's at least temporarily kind of closed its eye out and kind of has its wrapped around in convection. We're also noticing pressure drops that are pretty quick. Like, we're down to about 980 millibars around according to the latest Recon pass.
I heard it went down like 5 millibars in the last hour. It's insane.
Yeah, it did. Okay, looking at this, yeah, it looks like they found another extrapolated area of 979. So it looks like it's kind of backing that up a little bit. So that's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing ends up playing out. But yeah, okay, because this system, is still definitely strengthening quite a bit. In your opinion, Yoshi, based on what we're seeing right here, what do you think this thing's going to be around landfall? Personally, I'm thinking 85 so far.
Well, what's strength is it right now? I
We're
haven't
at
checked
75
the
right now.
stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, I might go actually a little under than you. I think 80 right
All
now.
right.
Me too.
Because
I'd say 80 to 85 are possible for landfall.
I agree.
Not much higher though.
I agree.
I think if the last night, if the dry air did not get into the core throughout today, we'll be talking about a whole different storm. I wouldn't be surprised if the core didn't get erupted. I wouldn't be surprised when we'll be talking about like a category 2 with rapid intensification.
Yeah, kind of a more or less of an Adalia situation. But thankfully that didn't happen. It's still going to be a Cat 1, which is still going to be a pretty big problem because of flash flooding, and we're going to have to keep tabs on it. Be sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It would really be much appreciated, and it's been a huge help tonight for helping us continue this coverage right here. So, yeah, we're approaching the final hours of the landfall of Debby, and we're also watching some areas that are outside of Debby right there in the Atlantic Ocean, another area of interest as well. We're keeping close tabs on that as well, and we're going to watch that organize and develop as the hours continue to go on. So, yeah, in the meantime, though, just overall, Debby's been kind of its own little story we've had in terms of meteorology, and here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel. We've had we've been covering this for the last few days, and when we saw this thing move south of Cuba and develop, that's when we realized, okay, this is a whole new ball game. And thank goodness the dry air got into the core for quite a bit and kind of slowed its intensification down. Because now instead of maybe a triple-digit wind storm, we're now looking at maybe an 80 to 85 mile per hour windstorm. So that's what we're looking at.
Do we have any live cameras along the coast where this is
No,
going to make
I'm looking
Yeah,
at radar though. I'm looking at a flash flood warned area. A huge band is gonna go up from Tampa to Spring Hill. That's not good.
Oh, I'm seeing that too. Let me go ahead and pull that up. All right. You said Tampa to Spring Hill, right?
Yep, and areas north,
Oh, I
but
see
the
it.
band already hit them.
Oh, I see it.
Is it
It's
me or
currently
the
closing
storm?
off-
Rain bands
It's
are more.
closing off in Spring Hill right now.
Yep.
I will say, if you were asking for camera footage earlier, if you guys know who Hurricane Track is, he does have live cameras, but it's not for broadcast.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try that. That's copyright problems right there. If we even attempted that.
If the people in the chat do want to see it, Pat can send a link to his footage. He's a very good Weather Channel as well.
Sure. Yeah, if you could send that over, I'll do that. But but we're not actually going to go ahead and show that because that's copyright issues right there.
Can I interrupt?
What's up?
I think this might make landfall at around 4 to 5 in the morning because I seen something where they analyst was explaining at the rate it could make landfall a bit sooner.
All right.
Yeah, I'm seeing a landfall around like 6 in the morning.
I'm taking a look at it. Is this thing
I think
shifting
earlier.
northeast or is it still moving northeast?
Let me check.
HRRR has landfall at between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I'm gonna
anymore.
look. I'm looking at this right now. I'm gonna go ahead and pause this and see how this thing is easily moving northeast right now.
NAM 3K has the landfall at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
GFS has landfall at 8 a.m. Euro has landfall at between 8 and 11 a.m.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little quick. It's going to be a little faster than that because this thing is moving at around
45 miles.
That's less than 45 miles offshore right there, moving northeast in that general direction. Now, if it wobbles and shifts a little bit further to the north, then we'll have more time for it to stay over water, and we can go ahead and show you that. That area, it's literally the difference of 20 miles, and that's the difference of a couple of hours over water right there. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So,
So sorry, I randomly left. My Discord decided to go on strike.
that's what happened to me several times. So,
yeah, my Discord decided to go on strike, but
yeah. In the meantime, yeah, I'm paying attention to it very closely. Very big situation that's playing out. So, yeah, quite the night it's been. Thank you for those tuning in. Be sure to like the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Our goal is to get more people engaged with weather, and with your help, we can absolutely do that with one person at a time. So, thank you very much for that. But anyway, guys, overall thoughts of Debby from tonight. We'll go. Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Go ahead, Galaxy. Let's let Galaxy start.
So, obviously the storm became a hurricane tonight. Even if it becomes a minimal category 2, the largest threat remains flooding from storm surge or rainfall. And again, paying attention to flash flood warnings. You should not drive through flooded roadways. And the storm also is showing a lot of rain bands training over the same areas with a flash flood warning for the Tampa Bay area. And also, there could be a tropical tornado threat, as there were a few tornado warnings earlier.
Yep. Anything else?
It could strengthen some more. You can see in the satellite imagery, there's some hot towers and vertical hot towers that are beginning to spin around the circulation.
All right.
But that's mostly it. Again, flooding is the biggest threat with the system.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Galaxy. Sakura, you want to go ahead?
I was gonna say, yeah. Now I know it's even a tiny bit late, but yeah, I was gonna say, I was aware that Debby did become a hurricane. Probably tomorrow morning when I get up, I'm gonna text my grandma to see if she's all right, because she's actually on Florida's west coast right now,
Yeah.
racing this hurricane. She's probably asleep right now, but she's on Florida's west coast right now, so it's probably tomorrow morning when I wake up. Probably have to ask her if she's okay. Probably is. But
Yeah.
yeah. Flooding with this hurricane is more than likely going to remain the biggest problem. Now, people are gonna say, oh, this is like a 75, 80 mile an hour hurricane. It's fine. But 75 to 80 mile an hour hurricanes don't have to produce winds of 75 to 80 miles.
Yeah.
75 to 80 miles an hour is destructive wind. That's true.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but we have a new member for the Pat's Path Predictor channel, Chris. Thank you for becoming a member. Thank you for becoming a weather enthusiast. I know it's very original, but hey, I figured I'd do that right there. So thank you for becoming a member of the channel. Much appreciated. We really love to see it. Go ahead and continue.
I would like to jump in for a second.
Oh, sure. What's up, Galaxy?
Go ahead.
So, okay, I kind of forgot. My bad.
It's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry about it.
Oh, good.
Sakura, go ahead. If it comes back to you, let us know right away.
But I was gonna say, flooding is obviously gonna be the main issue with this hurricane because, again, wind isn't always the biggest threat. Now, wind is going to be one of the threats, that's true. But wind isn't always the threat.
Yeah.
I mean, with the larger storms, it's more than likely going to be storm surge. Take Hugo, Ivan, Katrina, for example. Or another big example of storm surge being a problem.
Yeah, I just remember. I was gonna say most wind damage does not come from sustained winds, but the stronger gusts. You only need about 10 seconds of wind for damage to start occurring. So you can have a strong gust that lasts for about 10 seconds, and it'll cause damage according to that wind. So the sustained wind is just like a baseline.
All right. Thank you very much, Galaxy. Sakura, would you like to finish your thought?
Yeah. Yeah, so those who are beyond the Carolinas, just know we're not neglecting you or anything. We just don't know where it's going to go from there. Like, who knows? Who knows? It might just look right back into West Virginia or maybe even Southern Ohio and maybe cause me problems. Maybe it might go up the East Coast up to New England. Maybe it might just go straight north through North Carolina, Virginia, PA, and into Canada. We don't know where the heck this thing's going to go.
Yeah.
Spaghetti models are honestly all over the place on that.
Yeah, especially like 5 days out. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And then one more thought I should say. Whoever likes to go out sailing on like sailboats or like john boats or whatever on the water, don't do that this hurricane.
Don't do that in any hurricane.
Yeah, don't do that in any hurricane. Don't do that in the special marine warnings, especially because those water spouts have the capability to capsize or even sink the boat entirely.
Yeah.
Don't even go out in the water. The waves are going to be dangerous.
Yeah.
Hey, I just solid question. Can I check the lightning? So I am going
Go
to
ahead.
do
Yeah,
that
I was
right
asking
now.
you to do that for me.
Yeah, go ahead and check that.
I saw
Um,
lightning in VC no mic.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a little earlier. Latest frame, no.
All right.
But once again, the outer bands, we do have quite a bit of lightning, and I do notice in the outer bands they are getting more intense with the rainfall rates.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. All right. In the meantime, though, okay. Okay. Hey, Weather Kingdom, would you like to? What are your overall thoughts and takeaways for tonight?
Overall takeaways is we have good news, and bad news. So the bad news is this is still going to be a massive flooding threat. Good news is it did not, it wasn't the worst case scenario with the wind and strength, but it looks like the worst case scenario with the rainfall and flooding. It's going to probably happen. It's going to be the major concern. And I know you guys were talking about, like, is this storm going to cause a lot of money and damages? And with the flooding, that can definitely do quite a lot. But once again, not like Harvey, not like Florence.
Like Florence, not like Floyd, but
Yeah.
maybe within the lower range of maybe Fran. Now,
Yeah.
Now, I did actually look it up. In 1996 USD, Fran caused $5 billion in damage, which is a lot, but...
And I also say is further out, once this makes landfall, tomorrow we'll probably know more what will happen in the next few days, especially for the Carolinas. But regardless, whatever track this goes, this is going to be a massive flooding threat. And that's the main takeaway for tonight is if you guys are in the path of this in the Carolinas and you guys are in that area for over a foot of rain, do take your prep and precaution on that. And we're going to have to watch the storm because I think the rainfall has overperformed for Florida. So I wouldn't be surprised we see at least a spot where 24 inches to 30 inches does take place.
Yeah.
I could see
What's
big
up?
time. I could see some tornadoes.
Yeah.
Too.
All right. What's up?
I was gonna say 2 to 2.5 feet. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah,
In the
that's a
meantime,
little bit
though,
of
we
a
have some news. The hurricane hunters have been out there getting more recon data. Their latest drop in the eye was 981 millibars at the surface with winds of 18 knots. So we're around 979 millibars at this current point. So it's continuing to drop in pressure if you take the standard deductions like that. But anyway,
and
go ahead.
I actually go up to about 8.
What?
Maybe 80. That's well. First off, it's at 75 right now. Yeah.
No, it's at 981 last time we checked. Before this.
Well, I mean, like the wind, like
wind's at 75.
The wind, 75. Okay. I have.
I'm going with
my winds might go up to 80.
All right.
Landfall.
Okay.
I think this
But
is.
if we can intensify this fast, 90. Remember, this thing is intensifying pretty darn quick.
My final thoughts on it is the worst case scenario did not happen, and the worst fear was this to rapidly intensify since last night, and expect this to be. There was a potential for this to be a hurricane early morning, if it continues. So, main takeaway is, good news is we're not gonna have the worst case scenario on strength.
Yeah.
But with the rainfall, this is going to be a catastrophic rain event.
Of course.
For millions of people.
Yeah.
And that's the main takeaway in the future. Yeah, tens of millions.
Absolutely. All
the
right.
track
Go ahead,
is still
continue.
uncertain and further out. So that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for all the support with these live streams. And thank you for all the support with helping us too.
Yeah, and Weather Kingdom's channel is in the description down below. He does weather content as well. He's going to have a video out tomorrow, kind of diving in deeper into this, as well as the new area of interest. But we have
main
two more
focus.
Yeah, we have two other people we need final thoughts from. First one, Yoshi. Go ahead and give your thoughts, if he is around.
Yeah,
If
my
he's awake.
thoughts. If I'm awake, I could fall asleep easily.
All right.
But my thoughts on this storm. I don't have much. I'm gonna be honest.
All right.
I haven't been watching this in the last few hours because I'm
Sure. That's
asleep.
okay. That's okay. But what would you say the main things people should watch out for? Like 2 or 3 things.
Wind and flooding mainly.
All right.
But especially be wary of downed power lines and water, since that's pretty common, and that is the thing that'll mess everyone up.
Yep. For sure. Anything else would you like to
Any
add?
electricity, to pop this in there, any electricity and water ain't good for you.
Yeah. No, it's not. Yoshi, would you any other thoughts before we turn it over to our last person?
You can turn it over.
All right, John, what are your final thoughts with this?
Honestly, this is pretty much mainly a flooding threat for Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas. Honestly, I would say if you're in Georgia, the Carolinas, I've been taking a look at the spaghetti models, and it kind of like the track certainty really drops after a couple of days. So I would say, honestly, if you're in Georgia or the Carolinas, keep a very close eye on this, because this looks like it's gonna slow down and be a big time rainmaker. So especially if you're like along the coastline and whatnot, it's gonna be a big problem. Especially, I think I saw on the rainfall forecast map in like South Carolina up to like 1 to 2 feet of rain, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I saw that. It's about 16 to 20 inches.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
keep a very close eye on this. That's my main takeaway on this.
All right, wonderful. Last few things I will say. Number 1, this is both a worst case and best case scenario at the same time. This thing is technically rapidly intensifying, but it's not doing it in the way in which this could have been a really bad wind threat. The other part about this is still going to be a massive flash flooding threat for South Carolina and Georgia, and it already is for much of Tampa Bay and Florida. So that's ultimately the things you need to take away is turn around, don't drown. A few inches of rain can wash your vehicle away, and water has a ton of force to it. So you need to absolutely keep tabs on it. And if it looks like it's completely flooded, do not go out and do not drive in that. And the last thing I will say before I begin the outro of this is just, thank you for everything you guys, all the support you guys have given us over the last few days. Without you, this coverage would not have been possible, and we really appreciate everything you've done for us. The donations, the likes, the subscribers, the memberships. We really appreciate that here, and I could not be more grateful for everything you guys have given us the last few days. I am gonna continue to stream not just this, but also other tropical threats. But I am gonna have a bit of a schedule change. All the live streams for this week are going to start at 10 p.m. Eastern time instead of 9 p.m. because I have a bit of a schedule change personally over here. So I just want to give everybody a heads up getting out of that. So that way we can continue our coverage, and that way our guests here know what's going on, because that is what we're going to continue to watch, as well as other areas of interest. So I wanted to make that very clear. Go ahead.
For my planning for tomorrow's video is really starting to focus on the Carolinas, because at that point it's going to be making landfall, and we're going to realize some more details and see how far this will get off in the coast. So if you guys are from the Carolinas, please stay tuned. I'll give you guys a very in-depth update.
As will I.
With
Yep.
the flooding potential, and Pat will.
Mm-hmm.
He's once again, he has his personal life, but he's doing this for you guys too. So give him a lot of support. I mean, I bet he's been tired the last few days, streaming quite late, but he's still going.
I'm still going. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys for joining tonight. For all our guests, thank you for joining.
One more thing. Turn around, don't drown.
Yes.
Exactly.
Main statement there.
Yep. But yeah, John, thank you for joining. Same with everybody else. Galaxy, Yoshi, Weather Kingdom, Sakura. Thank you guys for joining.
Arigato.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Yep. All right. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and end the stream right here. I really hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are getting very close to 10,000 subscribers, and that's absolutely incredible. So thank you for all the support you have given over the last week. It's been an unbelievable ride doing all this, so thank you very much. The goal of this channel, as always, is to get more people engaged with weather. And if you want to come hang out with us, be sure to join the Storms United Discord server. It's in the pinned chat in the stream over there, and it's also in the first link in the description down below. With that being said, though, have a wonderful night, guys. Stay safe.
Thank you.